Jiangzhen City and Songyuan City are inherently adjacent. From Begonia Mansion to Leginian's hometown, it is a total of just over 80 kilometers. Leaving after 10 a.m., they would probably arrive around 11:30 a.m. Meanwhile, Leginian's parents had already started preparing the welcome lunch at 9 a.m. Although Leginian was not from a rural area, her old home was in a particularly old residential compound, and it was a rented apartment. Years ago, to treat her younger brother's illness, their family home had been sold. Currently, the family of 3 was squeezed into an apartment of only 45 square meters. Fortunately, it was at least 1 bedroom and 2 living rooms. Her parents lived in 1 room, and her younger brother Li Fei lived in the other. The only drawback was that due to the small size, the room layout was very cramped. Li Jinian's father, Li Bowen, was one of 2 brothers. He had an elder brother who was Li Jinian's paternal uncle. Her paternal uncle had a son and a daughter who were Li Jinian's paternal cousin brother and paternal cousin sister. As soon as they heard that Li Jinian was bringing her boyfriend home, her paternal uncle, paternal cousin brother, and paternal cousin sister all came. In reality, the relationship between the 2 families was generally lukewarm normally. They would only occasionally chat in the family group. But this time, her paternal uncle's family insisted on coming to take a look and grandiosely claimed they wanted to vet Li Jinian's boyfriend. In fact, they merely wanted to come and watch a spectacle. Primarily, they had heard a while ago that Li Jinian's boyfriend had lost 200,000 in the stock market, and Li Jinian had borrowed money from her family, wanting to pay off her boyfriend's debt. It was precisely for this reason that her father, Li Bowen, had approached her paternal uncle to borrow money at the time and had mentioned this matter. In the end, they did not get the money instead. Her paternal uncle's family had thoroughly ridiculed them. So, upon hearing that Li Jinian was bringing this boyfriend home, her paternal uncle's entire family came over, insisting on taking a look. As soon as her paternal uncle's family entered the door, her paternal cousin sister, Li Mangxia, immediately saw a table full of dishes. Crucially, cooking was still ongoing in the kitchen. At least 3 more dishes were not finished yet. "Oh, Auntie, you have made so many dishes today. It is so lavish. Your family does not even have such a feast for New Year's, do you?" Li Jinian's mother, Chen Xiu, wiped her apron. "Yes, is not Xinian bringing her boyfriend home? We definitely have to make more dishes. We can't let him feel unappreciated." "Auntie, I think you have made too many dishes. I heard from my dad that Xinian's boyfriend is in stock trading and he lost over 200,000 a while ago. Is that true?" Li Manjia cracked sunflower seeds, deliberately asking something she already knew. "Yes!" Mother Chen Shu nodded with a smile. "However, Xinian's boyfriend is capable. He later earned the money back in the stock market, it seems. He made over 600,000. Father Li Bowen, who was beside her, immediately added, "Not only did he pay us back the money, but he also gave us an extra 23,000 yuan, saying it was out of filial piety for us." Upon hearing this, her paternal uncle's family, who had initially worn triumphant expressions, instantly showed a hint of displeasure. They had just learned that Xiaofeng had actually paid back the money, and even an extra 23,000. However, after listening, paternal uncle Li Yongshou still feigned an air of old-fashioned sagacity. "Bowen, you 2 are just too easily fooled. Just because he said he earned over 600,000, does that make it over 600,000? Furthermore, I have also dabbled in stocks. This thing might earn you 600,000 today, but tomorrow you could lose everything. So, even if Xinian's boyfriend really made 600,000 last time, who knows? He might have lost it all by now. I reckon he might be out of money, pretending to visit, trying to butter you up, and then asking you to borrow money again." Paternal uncle Li Yongshou's words were clearly meant to spoil their mood, and the last sentence even introduced a conspiracy theory. But putting aside the last sentence, the preceding words did seem to hold a little truth. Stock trading, everyone knows it is extremely risky, and one can truly go bankrupt at any moment. It is extremely unstable. So no matter how much money one makes in the stock market, it is hard to gain others' approval, unless one makes an enormous amount of money and then exits the stock market. Upon hearing paternal uncle Li Yongshou's words, a hint of awkwardness instantly flashed across the faces of Father Li Bowen and Mother Chen Shu. However, at that moment, well, that is still better than living like a parasite, waiting to die. Li Fei, the younger brother in a wheelchair, suddenly spoke up. Unlike some people who do nothing all day, just leech off their parents, like a piece of garbage. Although younger brother Li Fei had healthy legs, he used a wheelchair for convenience due to his partial blindness. And Li Fei's words just now were clearly spoken with emotion. At first listen, it seemed he was talking about himself, but in fact, he was implying things about his paternal uncle's family. Especially his paternal uncle's son, Li Chao, who was idle all day, had no job, and gambled a complete good for nothing. Li Chao, the paternal cousin brother standing by, understood the implied meaning and instantly showed a hint of displeasure. I say, Xiao Fei, what did you mean by those words just now? Who are you calling a parasite waiting to die? Who are you calling garbage? Younger brother Li Fei was also calm and composed. I am talking about myself. I really am garbage. If I could see, I would at least find a job, instead of just leeching off my parents like I am now. Li Fei was using self-deprecation to indirectly call his paternal cousin brother, Li Chao, a good-for-nothing. Li Fei could not help it. He had congenital partial blindness. But Li Chao was different. He was a pure waste of resources. For a moment, the atmosphere was tense, but not yet to the point of a complete fallout. All right, paternal uncle Li Yongshou, standing by, also adopted the demeanor of an elder. Both of you say less. And you, Xiao Fei's eyes have been blind since childhood. Why are you getting upset with him? Li Yongshou seemed to be diffusing the situation, but in reality, his words were truly grating to hear. Mother Chen Shu, despite her good temper, could not tolerate it. His paternal uncle, our Xiao Fei, is not blind. He is not blind. He is partially sighted. Do not keep saying he is blind. Although they had not completely fallen out, they were all at their breaking point. Oh dear, paternal uncle Li Yongshou also pretended to joke, is not at all the same. It is not the same. Mother Chen Shu's attitude was very firm. Partially sighted is partially sighted, not blind. And Xiao Fei can be treated. All right, fine, paternal uncle Li Yongshou casually replied in an indifferent manner. He can be treated. He can be treated all right, but can you afford that much money for his treatment? It will cost at least 500,000, right? Li Yongshou's seemingly casual remark completely stung Li Bowen and Chen Shu this time. Crucially, there was no point in even refuting it. Yes, at least 500,000. In fact, they had already inquired it was not just a minimum of 500,000, but the total cost would be at least 700,000. 100,000 might be achievable, but coming up with 700,000 all at once was simply impossible. Father Li Bowen sighed helplessly, unable to utter a single word. Mother Chen Shu originally wanted to directly confront them, but remembering that her son-in-law would arrive soon, she could only suppress her emotions. Relationships among the older generation were often strange, even knowing that the other party was being sarcastic. Even knowing they did not wish them well, they were still unwilling to completely fall out unless absolutely necessary. They always adhered to the saying, there is no avoiding each other when you live in the same neighborhood. But Chen Shu, while stir-frying, still could not help but retort. It is all right. You do not need to worry about this, uncle. You can't help anyway. Just worry about your son, Xiao Chao. Do not let him accumulate a pile of gambling debts outside someday. Then you will have a headache. Ha! Paternal uncle Li Yongshou also laughed without a trace of worry. Auntie, you are overthinking it. Our Xiao Chao usually only plays for a few yuan at the gambling table. It is hard for him to lose everything. Meanwhile, no one noticed Li Chao's somewhat evasive gaze nearby. Knock, knock, knock. Just then, a knocking sound came from the door. Dad, Mom, we are here. Hearing the knock on the door, Chen Shu quickly wiped her hands with her apron. Her previously slightly bad mood immediately adjusted to its best, and her face was full of smiles. Similarly, Father Li Bowen also put away his original sighing face, now full of joy. No matter what, it was their son-in-law's first visit, so their attitude had to be good, and they would not bring any bad emotions to him. Even though they did not really approve of this son-in-law yet, Li Jinian had already said she would marry no one else. So, In the old couple's hearts, Xiaofeng was their prospective son-in-law, no matter what. As a result, they also adjusted their emotions and presented their best selves. Dad, Mom, this is Xiaofeng. I brought him to see you. Li Jinian introduced. Uncle, Auntie. Hello, just call me Xiaofeng. Come in quickly. Chen Shu hastily gestured. Xiaofei, quickly greet him. Hello, brother-in-law. Li Fei, sitting in his wheelchair, also opened his mouth and called out brother-in-law. Calling him brother-in-law on the first meeting, he is really on the ball. Oh, hello. Xiaofeng responded quite readily. You are Li Fei, right? Your sister often talks about you. Brother-in-law, just call me Xiaofei. Saying this, Li Fei, sitting in his wheelchair, extended his hand and made a handshake gesture towards the empty air beside him. There was nothing for it. Li Fei was locating by sound, but he had not precisely pinpointed Xiaofeng's exact position. It was indeed a little awkward. Xiaofeng also tacitly moved a step to the left, standing directly in front of him, and shook his hand. At the same time, ever since Xiaofeng entered the door, Mother Chen Shu's eyes had barely left him. Although it was her first time seeing her son-in-law, this son-in-law was far more perfect than she had imagined. Standing 1.8 meters tall, he had clear features and a distinguished appearance. She suddenly realized why her daughter Li Jinian insisted on marrying him. He was actually so handsome and spirited. For a moment, Mother Chen Shu could not help but think to herself, if she were 20 years younger, she would probably like this type too. Similarly, Father Li Bowen also sized him up after he entered and was equally a bit surprised. He had not expected this son-in-law to be so pleasing to the eye, handsome and dashing, quite reminiscent of his younger self. He could not help but think, with this young man's looks, even in my prime, I would probably have to yield to his brilliance. At the same time, Li Jinian naturally saw her uncle's family, including her uncle, cousin Lai Chao, and cousin Lai Manxia. Li Jinian also symbolically gave Xiaofeng a brief introduction. Xiaofeng also symbolically nodded, but he knew what they were there for, moreover. Li Jinian had already given Xiaofeng a heads up. You have come all this way and brought so many things, Mother Chen Shu said, looking at the various gift boxes on the table. Though she said no, she was very happy in her heart. These gift boxes alone totaled nearly 500,000 yuan, all of top quality. However, the old couple seemed to not recognize them at all. It was not that they were illiterate, but they did not know these items were so expensive. The only thing they recognized was the word Mao Tai written on the box, but they did not recognize them, while others did. What is this? Uncle Li Yongshou, standing by, looked at the two words on the box. Is not this Mao Tai? Would not a box of this be several thousand yuan? Everyone recognized Mao Tai, and in most people's minds, a bottle would cost at least 1,000 yuan. Xiaofeng directly gifted a box, which contained 6 bottles, so that would be 6,000 yuan. No. Cousin Li Chao, standing nearby, saw the white label on the box and suddenly changed his expression. This is not ordinary Mao Tai. This is the Golden Seal Aged Edition. I saw it online before. One bottle costs over 10,000 yuan, and you have to pay a premium to get it. So this box is probably around 100,000 yuan. As Cousin Li Chao's words fell, everyone's eyes were all fixed on that box of Mao Tai. Ultimately, even if Uncle's family had a little money, they were still just an ordinary family. Usually, drinking a bottle of wine worth 200 yuan was already good. Now suddenly hearing that a box of wine was worth 100,000 yuan, it was like an astronomical price for ordinary people, especially since it was only 2010. How? How much? Uncle Li Yongshou asked, his face full of shock. Zhao Chao, how much did you say this box of wine is worth? This Mao Tai costs at least 13,000 yuan per bottle, and that is just the basic price for a single bottle. This is a whole box. If the whole box is unopened, the market price will be even higher. Do not underestimate the value of an unopened carton. The price will be at least 10% more expensive. Plus, this wine is hard to buy and requires an additional premium. So this box of wine definitely costs 100,000 yuan, as Li Chao explained. For a moment, Uncle felt a buzzing in his head. He felt like the sky was about to collapse. 100,000 yuan for a box of wine. However, the next second, Cousin Lai Mangxia immediately noticed the gift box next to the Mao Tai. Li Manja had a job, specifically one related to tea, working in tea brand sales. She recognized and understood almost all types of tea. She quickly walked over, leaned in, and carefully examined it. This is not this Westlake Longjing, known as the Queen of Green Tea. This box of Westlake Longjing is worth at least 200,000 yuan. Huh? What? What? For a moment, not just Uncle, but everyone had a look of astonishment, as if they had heard something incredibly outrageous. Just now it was Maotai. This time it was tea. Tea worth 200,000 yuan. For everyone in the room, this was still an astronomical price in their understanding. Uncle Liangsho's head buzzed again, and he almost lost his footing. Manxia, do not scare me this. Can this tea be real? Dad is not that obvious, Li Mangxia said with a slightly displeased tone. I have been in tea sales for so many years, this has a barcode and serial number, all traceable to its origin. It is absolutely real. After hearing that, it was absolutely real. Uncle Liangsho almost could not catch his breath. Now, the sky had truly fallen. Just these two items alone were already worth 300,000 yuan. There were 5 or 6 other gift boxes on the table. All of them combined. Would not they be worth 400,000 to 500,000 yuan? For a moment, not only did Uncle's family find it outrageous, but even Li Jinian's parents found it hard to accept. Mainly, it was too expensive. The old couple had been frugal for half their lives. How could they accept such costly gifts? Zhao Feng, Chen Shu said with a trembling voice. This, you have spent too much. These few things are hundreds of thousands. Can these be returned? Yes. Xiao Feng, Li Bowen chimed in. I usually drink wine that costs 10 yuan a bottle. A box of this is 100,000 yuan. If I really drank it, my stomach would think it was farewell wine. Uncle, Auntie, Xiao Feng, calm and composed with a smile on his face, said, Please do not say that. This is what I should give you out of filial respect. Please accept them. But this is too valuable. Chen Shu looked at the pile of gifts, with an indescribable mix of emotions on her face. After 3 seconds of silence, Chen Shu could not help but ask again, Can they really not be returned? Oh, Auntie Xiao Feng gently placed his hand on Chen Shu's arm, half supporting her. This is my first visit. How can there be a reason to return gifts once they have been given? Besides, if you really do not want them, would not that mean you do not approve of me as your future son-in-law, would not it? Xiao Feng's words made it impossible for Chen Shu and Li Bowen to refuse any longer. Coupled with Xiao Feng's semi-supporting gesture just now, it was particularly easy to draw them closer. But the pile of gifts in front of them was indeed too valuable, especially since their prices had basically just been announced. This pile of gifts was worth at least 400,000 to 500,000 yuan. And the couple had always lived such a hard life, plus their son Li Fei was in this condition. As a result, the old couple looked at the gifts, then exchanged glances. Both seemed to understand instantly, but did not know how to speak. Chen Shu looked at the gifts on the table again, then at the half-blind Li Fei sitting in his wheelchair beside her. Chen Shu's eyes uncontrollably reddened. She mustered her courage, speaking as if discussing and also as if asking for Xiao Feng's permission. See ya. Xiao Feng, Chen Shu's tone was very humble. We will accept these gifts, but can we discuss something with you? Please say it. It is just, can we sell these gifts you brought? These gifts are so expensive. We could get a lot of money by selling them, and that way. We could have money too, to gather treatment fees for Xiao Fei. Chen Shu haltingly finally said it. If all these gifts were sold, even at a slight discount, they could fetch at least 300,000 to 400,000 yuan. 300,000 to 400,000 yuan, although not enough to fully cover Li Fei's treatment costs, could at least ease the family's burden. At this moment, Chen Shu, in the end, was essentially Xiao Feng's half-mother-in-law. Now, for his mother-in-law to discuss with him in such a tone. No, Xiao Feng's tone was firm. These things are for you. You should drink them and use them as you wish. As for Lai Fei. At this point, Xiao Feng paused briefly, then pulled out a pre-prepared card from his pocket. He directly placed this pre-prepared card into Chen Shu's hand then, in front of Li Jinian and Uncle's two families. There is a total of 3 million yuan in this card. I have already consulted about Li Fei's condition. It is treatable, costing roughly 1 million yuan. The remaining 2 million yuan you can use to pay off debts, buy a new house, or save it for Li Fei's marriage in the future. In short, you decide. Consider these 3 million yuan as Li Jinian and I showing our filial respect to you two elders. After speaking, Xiao Feng forcibly placed the card in his hand, into Chen Shu's. At this moment, Li Jinian's entire family was utterly stunned, as if they had heard something explosive. Similarly, Uncle's family had just heard everything clearly. 3 million yuan. Given just like that, what kind of divine son-in-law is this? Just then, Uncle Liangshuo felt his head go heavy. Dad, what is wrong? Uncle, are you all right? The 3 million that Xiao Feng suddenly took out seemed to break the rules, instantly allowing Li Jinian's family to completely break free from their predicament. The reason it was a breakthrough was because Li Jinian's family originally not only had no savings, but also owed at least 100,000 in debt. Adding to that, her younger brother Li Fei's condition required constant care, making those days simply dark and hopeless. But now, with these 3 million, everything could be easily resolved. First, Li Jinian's parents' debts would be fully paid off. They would not have to worry about food, clothing, housing, and they could even have their own home. Especially her younger brother Lai Fei, who could be completely cured with just 1 million. No longer having to worry about money. Everything suddenly got better. This was the charm of money. Money indeed reduces 99% of worries and pain. The moment Uncle Liangshuo heard Xiao Feng gave 3 million, he truly lost his footing, stumbled backward, and leaned his head against the dilapidated sofa. He was gasping for breath, feeling as if his heart was about to stop beating. Xiao Feng found this scene both absurd and amusing. It seemed that what was said online was not an exaggeration. Those relatives or uncles who looked down on people through cracks in doors could really be infuriated to the point of hanging themselves if you truly succeeded. Xiao Feng had seen a joke online before, where a guy got a government job and his uncle was hospitalized the next day. Of course, not everything can be generalized. Some uncles are still very good. But the one in front of him was clearly the former. Dad, are you all right? His cousin Lai Mangxia asked with concern. Everyone else also gathered around. The most worried was actually Li Jinian at such a happy moment. She hoped her uncle would not die here, as it would be terribly inauspicious. And Xiao Feng, seeing this scene, naturally could not stand idly by. He had to show some concern. Xiao Feng pulled out his car keys from his pocket. Uncle, is he all right? How about I drive him to the hospital? Uncle Liangshuo had just recovered a bit when he saw the car keys dangling in front of Xiao Feng. Meanwhile, his cousin Li Chao recognized the brand of the car key in Xiao Feng's hand at a glance. Damn, a Porsche. This car must be worth 2 or 3 million. The uncle, who had just managed to recover, choked again when he heard the car was worth 2 or 3 million. But no matter what, he would not actually die. He just needed a bit more time to recover. At the same time, Chen Shu and Lai Bowen looked at the card Xiao Feng handed over, and both of them still felt like they were dreaming at this moment. This was 3 million, an astronomical figure for them, capable of solving all their worries in an instant and allowing them to live a very good life. After all, even with treatment costs, external debts, and buying a house, the total would not exceed 2 million, and there would still be 1 million left on the card. No worries about food, clothing, or housing, and still 1 million remaining on the card. This was something they would not even dare to dream of. But now, the reality was right in front of them. Xiao Feng drove a car worth nearly 3 million, and the gifts alone were worth 400,000 to 500,000, so the 3 million on this card naturally could not be fake. For a moment, not only Chen Shu, but even Lai Bowen, a grown man, had tears in his eyes. It was hard to imagine what kind of divine son-in-law their daughter had found for them. Xiao Feng Chen Shu said with 2 streams of tears, "Consider this money a loan from your aunt. After I finish treating Li Fei, I'll return all the remaining money to you. No matter how much is used, our family will work to pay you back then. Otherwise, I won't feel at ease holding this money." "That is right," Li Bowen echoed. "Xiao Feng, our greatest wish is to cure Li Fei's eyes. We do not ask for anything else. Before, we could not even borrow money, and now you have given us so much. We absolutely cannot just accept it so easily. Consider this money a loan." This old couple, even at a time like this, they still thought of it as a loan. Xiao Feng did not want to say much, remaining simple and clear. "Uncle, aunt, do not hesitate about this money. Since I have given it, I definitely won't take it back. Do not say it is a loan. And honestly, if anyone should be thankful, it is me thanking you. Although your family's financial situation was not very good, you still managed to send Xinian to college. If you had not sent her to college, I would not have met such a wonderful person like her. So, please do not say anything more. Furthermore, not just now, but for anything in the future, as long as I can help, feel free to ask." At this moment, Xiao Feng showed his responsibility and commitment. With his own strength, he had essentially changed the fate of Li Xinian's family. Although this was Li Xinian's home since he was going to marry Li Xinian in the future, this was also his own home. "Thank you, brother-in-law. You allowed me to see the light of life." Li Fei, sitting in his wheelchair, fumbled to stand up, his eyes also red-rimmed, because he knew clearly. He was saved. Li Fei bowed deeply towards the nearby doorframe, expressing his immense gratitude to his brother-in-law, Xiao Feng. When the gaze turned to Li Xinian, her eyes were also filled with hot tears. The entire family was moved to tears by Xiao Feng, truly from the bottom of their hearts. In fact, Li Xinian had always wanted to discuss with Xiao Feng to ask if he could contribute more money for her younger brother Li Fei's treatment, but before, she never knew how to bring it up, as Li Xinian felt it was, after all, Xiao Feng's own hard-earned money. And Xiao Feng loved her so much that if she truly asked, Xiao Feng would agree out of courtesy, which would be no different from moral blackmail. As a result, Li Xinian had always been too embarrassed to ask. But what Li Xinian never expected was that Xiao Feng had actually been planning this all along. And from Xiao Feng's answer just now, she learned that Xiao Feng had already consulted and knew exactly how much the treatment costs would be. Then, he gave 3 million, not only saving her younger brother, but also saving the entire family, allowing her parents to no longer toil. Li Xinian looked at Xiao Feng with deep affection. At her treasure boy being with Xiao Feng was the best decision she had ever made in her life. At this moment, Li Xinian wished she could give Xiao Feng 100 children to repay him. "Go wash your hands," Li Xinian blurted out, quickly correcting herself. "Dinner's ready." So, it was time to wash hands for dinner. Chen Shu quickly wiped away her tears. "Just a moment. There is one last dish. It'll be out of the pot soon. You all can start eating first." At this moment, the family could not have been more heartwarming, but it seemed there were still a few annoying presences here. It was Xiao Feng's first time at his future in-law's house, and although Uncle Li Yongshou's family said they came to visit, they could not possibly stay for dinner, could they? No matter what, it was inappropriate at most. They would just politely pretend. Fortunately, Uncle Li Yongshou finally recovered, breathing heavily. It seemed he still did not want to leave entirely, not to freeload on dinner, but to clear up the doubts in his heart. Uncle Li Yongshou's attitude was noticeably better than before he showed respect. People are like that, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. When they fully realized Xiao Feng was very capable, their attitudes clearly changed, both currying favor and wanting to know the truth. Xiao Feng, right?" Li Yongshou forced a smile. "Do not say it. You truly are capable, earning so much money at such a young age. By the way, is your stock trading that profitable? Which stock did you buy? How much did you earn in total?" Li Yongshou's curiosity was completely piqued, asking 3 questions in a row. And these 3 questions were what everyone wanted to know. Even Li Xinian actually did not know how Xiao Feng had earned so much money. After all, the last time Li Xinian looked at Xiao Feng's bank card, there was only 11.15 million, but last night, Xiao Feng told her there was 22.36 million in the bank card, which did not include the 5 million he gave Li Xinian for treatment and starting a company. So even Li Xinian was curious How did he earn so much money? Following Uncle Li Yongshou's 3 questions, all eyes turned to Xiao Feng, everyone except Li Fei. Facing the gazes of everyone in the room, it was not just Uncle Li Yongshou's family, but also Li Jinian's parents. Since everyone was so curious, he might as well make something up. Actually, it was just good luck. Stocks accidentally soared, and I accidentally stumbled upon some treasures while stone gambling. Later, I accumulated some real estate and then accidentally caught a wave of urban redevelopment, so I made a fortune. Xiao Feng's seemingly casual explanation, but every word stung Uncle Li Yongshou's family's hearts. His luck was too good, was not it? He earned so much money. Meanwhile, Li Jinian suddenly seemed to realize, finally understanding where Xiao Feng had gotten so much money. So that is it. Li Jinian instantly understood. No wonder you spent 5 million on me and started a company and still had 20 million in your card. So you also made a fortune from urban redevelopment. Li Jinian, until this moment, still thought that the urban redevelopment Xiao Feng just mentioned referred to the money he talked about yesterday. That made sense. A normal person's first reaction would be that even if you buy a few houses and they get redeveloped, one house would only compensate 1 or 2 million, and buying 10 houses would compensate 10 or 20 million, which was reasonable. And when Uncle Li Yongshou finished listening to the explanation, he almost stumbled backward again. What? There is still 20 million in the card. Is that true or false? Uncle Li Yongshou was gasping for breath, his eyes red with envy. That question, true or false, was Uncle Li Yongshou's last stubborn stand. He desperately hoped it was his auditory hallucination, that it was false. Fake? Xiao Feng suddenly said, fake. This fake instantly made Li Yongshou sigh in relief. Thank goodness it was fake. He thought there really was still 20 million. However, the next second, Xiao Feng's expression immediately turned somewhat serious, as if he were lecturing Li Jinian. Listen, Li Jinian, I have to criticize you a bit here. I clearly told you yesterday that there was 22.36 million in the card. So how did it become only 20 million when you said it? Yes, I admit, we are indeed rich now, but you can't just disregard that 2.36 million as if it is not money. As Xiao Feng's words fell, this time, even Li Jinian almost stumbled backward. Xiao Feng subtly pulled off a big show. Dad, what is wrong with you again? Just then, looking at Uncle Li Yongshou again, this time he was truly on the verge of croaking. He was lying on the sofa. His breathing was very uneven, and he was clearly struggling to breathe. For a moment, everyone was genuinely panicked. They hoped he would not actually die here. They had not even eaten yet. Seeing this scene, Xiao Feng certainly could not just stand by. Xiao Feng quickly walked over, took out his phone, and unlocked it. This situation is not good. I will call an ambulance. Xiao Feng held his phone in his hand, face up, with the screen lit. No need, Uncle Li Yongshou stubbornly held on for dear life, refusing. Truly, no need, I just momentarily lost my breath. My heart has not been feeling well lately. Li Yongshou certainly could not say he was agitated out of jealousy. He could only claim his heart was not good. Ding-a-ling. Just then, a message popped up on Xiao Feng's lit phone screen. A bank SMS message. At this moment, not only was the screen lit, but it was also face up, and the phone was on the sofa, so everyone could clearly see the screen. The message popped up automatically. Huaxia Bank, your account ending in has received a transfer. 23,159,900 yuan. Current balance, 260,811,930 yuan. When everyone saw this string of numbers, their eyes almost popped out. Undoubtedly, Xiao Feng's first demolition compensation payment had arrived. When Uncle Li Yongshou saw this message, actually, his brain did not react immediately, but then he seemed to realize something. This string of numbers. Is this someone's phone number? No. A thunderbolt struck in his mind. Li Yongshou clearly saw and realized it, but he just did not want to believe it. Out of his brain's self-preservation, he subconsciously asked, why did Huaxia Bank send you a string of phone numbers? Do not misunderstand. It is the demolition funds that have arrived. Before his brain even had time to react, and in the next second, Another message popped up. Huaxia Bank. Your account ending in has received a transfer, 338 million yuan. Current balance, 598,811,930 yuan. At this very moment, for Uncle's family, it was no longer a matter of whether the sky was falling or not. Because, as another deposit notification popped up, 338 million yuan was credited. Xiaofeng's current balance was clearly visible, reflected in everyone's pupils. Current balance, 598,811,930 yuan. This figure in the current year 2010 was truly an astronomical sum, the existence of a true magnate. It was at least equivalent to owning over 1 billion yuan in later generations. This time, even if Liang Shou could endure more, he could not, and directly fainted. And this time, cousin and cousin sister also ignored Liang Shou, their eyes still fixed on the balance of Xiaofeng's bank card. As for Liang Shou, who cared about him? Cousin Li Chao and cousin sister Lai Manxia were not doing anything else, they were counting the numbers, counting how many digits there were. Likewise, at this moment, it seemed everyone was counting the digits of that balance. Even Li Jinian was dazed, standing there, completely unable to understand. She genuinely could not understand. Being with Xiaofeng every day, she had always thought that even if Xiaofeng made money, it would probably be only 20 to 30 million yuan, at most 30 million yuan. But at this moment, as Li Jinian counted the balance again and again, units, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions, holy cow. A balance of 590 million yuan. How could Li Jinian not be confused? Ultimately, Li Jinian's family was not wealthy to begin with, she grew up in poverty. A family that originally could not even produce 100,000 yuan. Now her boyfriend's card actually had 590 million yuan. For Li Jinian, this was even more shocking than for her uncle's family, because this was her own boyfriend. Xiaofeng. Li Jinian's voice trembled. She could not say anything, only called out Xiaofeng's name, because she no longer knew what to say. And looking at Li Jinian's parents again, the old couple also had looks of horror, completely disbelieving their eyes. But no matter how many more doubts, the current facts were right in front of them. Meanwhile, Li Fei, sitting in a wheelchair nearby, was completely bewildered at this moment. He could not see, but he always felt the atmosphere suddenly became very strange. Dad, Mom, Sis, you, why did all of you suddenly stop talking? What happened? Where's Uncle? Is Uncle still here? Why is not he talking either? Uncle was almost gone. At this moment, no one spoke anymore. Only their eyes were fixed on that string of balance digits that looked like a phone number. Ding-a-ling. Finally, Xiaofeng's phone rang, breaking the original tranquility. It was a call from Yan Wenshan. Xiaofeng naturally answered the phone first, letting the others calm down for a bit. Hello, brother Xiaofeng. The money has been transferred to you. Did you receive it? Received it, old brother Yan. Thanks. What are you saying? I should be the one thanking you. Yan Wenshan then added with a bit of gossip. By the way, how was your first visit to the girl's family? Did her in-laws make things difficult for you? Xiaofeng immediately felt a bit awkward. They indeed did not make things difficult for Xiaofeng, but Xiaofeng certainly made things difficult for them today, making them doubt life again and again. No, they are all quite satisfied with me. That is good. When you come back, tell me a day in advance, and then I will book a room, and we will have a good drink together. Okay? I will message you when I get back. All right, waiting for you. Just as he hung up, the demolition department also called. After all, this was an ultra-large sum transfer, and there could not be the slightest oversight or mistake. After the transfer, a confirmation call was certainly necessary. As Xiaofeng finished 2 consecutive calls, a total of 3 to 5 minutes had passed. Everyone finally recovered. One person had not recovered yet, still sulking there, but no one paid attention to him anymore. Everyone's gaze once again turned to Xiaofeng. As Xiaofeng's girlfriend, Li Jinian was more curious than anyone else about what Xiaofeng had done to suddenly possess 590 million yuan. Xiaofeng. Li Jinian's tone even became cautious. You, where on earth did you get so much money? Xiao Feng still had a calm expression, not avoiding anyone, gently caressing Li Jinian, and patiently explained. I just said it. It is demolition compensation. I had previously acquired some properties, originally planning to let employees live there for free, and also waiting for them to appreciate in value in the future. Also, I partnered with old brother Yan to buy a plot of land, intending to build a factory. That place is near Qinghu Community, where we used to live. Who would have thought it just happened to coincide with the demolition? Xiao Feng patiently explained it to Li Jinian. Upon learning the truth, Li Jinian was both surprised and delighted, and had never been so excited before. Mainly, this time the amount was too large, beyond her scope of comprehension. After a long period of calm, Li Jinian still had a tiny bit of doubt, asking softly, but that would not result in so much demolition compensation, would it? How many properties did you have to acquire? Not many, counting the previous landlord's set, a total of 171 units. I spent 30 million yuan on the plot of land with old brother Yan, so the total compensation was 575 million yuan. 171 units and 30 million yuan for land. Li Jinian's eyebrows almost twisted into a knot. But where did you have so much money before? I earned it. Xiao Feng gently placed his hands on Li Jinian's shoulders. I have many ways to make money. After going to the antique street last time, I later earned over 50 million yuan. Then I acquired these properties. The reason I did not tell you before was to give you a big surprise all at once. But at this point, Xiao Feng deliberately put on an apologetic expression as a result. I originally wanted to give you a surprise. Who knew I would give you a fright? I'm sorry, miss. I scared you. As soon as he said this, Cousin Li Chao's expression stiffened. Oh my goodness. Is he even speaking human language? I scared you. And apologizing for it. The ones you should be apologizing to most are us and my dad. Wait, where's my dad? Dad. Only then did cousin and cousin sister realize their dad had completely fainted for a while. Call an ambulance quickly. This time, it was no joke, and ambulance really had to be called. Although Liang Shou was slightly conscious again, in his current state, he felt he could not even walk, barely hanging on by a thread. So an ambulance was really called, and it would arrive soon. Meanwhile, when Li Jinian heard Xiao Feng explain the whole story from beginning to end, she completely understood everything, especially Xiao Feng's last addition. I originally wanted to give you a surprise, but I did not expect to scare you. And he even specifically said, I am sorry. In an instant, tears welled up in Li Jinian's eyes. She no longer knew how to express her current feelings. Her boyfriend suddenly became worth over 100 million yuan and was still so gentle with her. Xiao Feng. Thank you. Why, thank me again. You already have 500 million yuan, and you're still so good to me. However, just as Li Jinian finished speaking, Xiao Feng's expression once again turned a bit serious. A critical tone followed. XXK, look, I just criticized you, telling you not to get carried away. It is clearly 598 million yuan. How did it become 500 million yuan when you say it? Is that 98.8 million yuan not money? Xiao Feng criticized Li Jinian twice today, but these two criticisms made Li Jinian happier than words could express. How could this be criticism? It was clearly an invisible show-off, and what is more, Uncle's family was all here. From childhood, Uncle's family looked down on them. Later, when Li Jinian got into a prestigious university, Uncle's family felt incredibly miserable. At the entrance banquet, Uncle made all sorts of sarcastic remarks, both overtly and covertly, and even acted belligerently after drinking. Later, Li Jinian had to ask her family for money to help Xiao Feng pay off his debts. Uncle, who knew the truth at the time, was incredibly happy. But now it seemed everything was different. An incredible reversal had occurred. Especially when Li Yongshou looked at his son and daughter again, his heart took another hit. Good thing the ambulance would arrive soon. However, while waiting for the ambulance, cousin Li Chao also deliberately tried to curry favor with Xiao Feng, purposefully trying to get closer. Xiao Feng, what industry is your company in? Everything. Whatever makes money. We do it, Xiaofeng replied casually. That is good, Li Chao nodded with a smile. You must be making quite a bit each month, right? It is okay, Xiaofeng always answered offhandedly. After all, Li Jinian had already given Xiaofeng a heads up. None of Uncle's family were good people. In this situation, Xiaofeng did not need to judge a person's character himself, because he only trusted Li Jinian. Anyone Li Jinian disliked was not a good person, and naturally, he would ignore them. But Li Chao kept trying to warm up to him, making deliberate small talk, sometimes saying a word, sometimes not. It was obvious. He clearly had something up his sleeve. After a few idle questions, Li Chao felt he had become slightly familiar with Xiaofeng. Li Chao offered an ingratiating smile. Xiaofeng, could you step out for a moment? There is something I want to talk to you about. Hearing this, Li Jinian, who was beside them, immediately became restless, feeling a little nervous, because Li Jinian felt that if anyone from Uncle's family whispered to Xiaofeng, it definitely would not be anything good. Either they would deliberately slander him, or they would say bad things, trying to break the two of them up. This kind of situation was not uncommon. Anyway, if they did not wish the other party well, they would gossip like this, spreading baseless rumors. Xiaofeng naturally saw Li Jinian's worry at a glance. He did not want Li Jinian to feel even a tiny bit worried or nervous. Besides, who was Li Chao anyway? He tells me to go out, and I just go. I do not care what secrets you have. If you have something to say it here. There are no outsiders here except for your family. Xiaofeng was direct, truly giving no face to the other party. On Li Jinian's face, the trace of worry instantly vanished. She gently bit her lip, looking at Xiaofeng affectionately. She thought her husband was even more handsome. Facing Xiaofeng's attitude, Li Chao did not dare to say much more. But he indeed had something else to discuss. And he had to say it. Otherwise, Xiaofeng would probably leave after dinner, and he would not have the chance. The crucial point was that the ambulance would arrive soon, and Li Chao would definitely have to go with it to take his father to the hospital. So he could only speak now. After all, Li Yongshou was now hanging on by a thread. And surprisingly, he could really hold on. Li Chao hesitated for a moment. Xiaofeng, you are so rich now and you are not short on money. Can I discuss something with you? Could you lend me 500,000 yuan? I need it urgently. Good heavens, they were not even familiar yet, and he dared to ask for 500,000 yuan right away. The main reason Li Chao dared to open his mouth was that he considered himself Li Jinian's cousin, after all. 50,000 yuan Chen Shu from the side certainly would not agree. Xiao Chao, this is Jinian's boyfriend. It is his first time visiting our family, and you are asking him for 500,000 yuan. How dare you even bring it up? Chen Shu was not indulging Uncle's family anymore. Although she did not completely cut ties, her rebuttal clearly showed her stance. I mainly need it urgently. Li Chao still said to Xiaofeng with a smiling face, you have over 500 million yuan in your card. This 500,000 yuan is nothing to you. Just lend it to me, please. All right? Not money, huh? After listening to Li Chao's words, Xiaofeng's face showed no trace of a smile. Instead, it held a hint of severity. You are right. 50,000 yuan is indeed not much money to me. But why should I lend it to you? Because Li Chao glanced at Li Jinian beside him and began to cozy up. Because I am Jinian's cousin. You know, we are related by blood. So you would not refuse to help with this small amount of money, would you? Li Chao kept calling it a small amount of money, but he himself was begging for it. Of course, he was not begging, he was already resorting to moral blackmail. At the same time, Uncle Li Yongshou, who was hanging on by a thread, and cousin Lai Mangsha also looked confused. Li Yongshou, barely breathing, asked, Xiao Chao, you just said, you urgently need 500,000 yuan. Did something happen? Yeah, Li Chao, what is going on, cousin? Li Mangsha was also very anxious. 50,000 yuan was no small sum. Suddenly needing 500,000 yuan urgently definitely meant something big was happening. Originally, Li Chao did not want to say it publicly, but if he did not say it now, Xiaofeng would leave soon, and he would lose his chance. So he wanted to use the fact that everyone was present to morally blackmail Xiao Feng, making it easier to borrow the money. As for whether he would repay the money later, no need to say more. He borrowed it by his ability. Why should he repay it? Facing everyone's questions, Li Chao's mind raced. Oh, just do not worry about it. I'm just negotiating a business deal outside, partnering with someone to open a shop, and I urgently need 500,000 yuan. Li Chao found a seemingly plausible reason. Uncle Li Yongshou heard this and thought it was good news. His son finally was not a good-for-nothing parasite anymore. You scared me, Father Li Yongshou finally let out a breath. I thought you had gambling debts outside? Since it is for a business partnership, then this money must be lent. Then Li Yongshou adopted the posture of an elder. Xiao Feng, listen to your uncle for a moment. Just lend this money to Xiao Chao. After all, Xiao Chao is Jinian's cousin. We are all family. What is more, you have over 500 million yuan now. This 500,000 yuan is not even 1,000th of your savings. It is nothing to you. If I were you, I would be willing to lend not just 500,000 yuan, but 5 million yuan. That is right. That is right, cousin. Lie, Manxia echoed from the side. It is only 500,000 yuan. If you do not lend it, you will be too stingy. Lend your mother. Get the hell out of my house. Just then, an unexpected remark caught everyone off guard. It was not someone else swearing, but Li Fei, who was in the wheelchair. Li Fei showed no regard for face, directly blurting out a vulgarity. He did not care about their relationship. Besides, for so many years, Uncle's family had never offered any practical help, only sarcastic remarks. Now, they were actually asking his brother-in-law for 500,000 yuan, and so self-righteously too. Of course, Li Fei would not tolerate it. Xiao Feng really wanted to give Li Fei a thumbs up. In an instant, Li Fei completely cut ties with Uncle and his family. This was swearing at someone to their face. Uncle Li Yongshou clutched his heart, forcefully shouting, "You little brat, how dare you speak like that? I am your uncle." "Exactly. I'm your cousin. I am your cousin. Who are you telling to get out today? I'm going to teach you a good lesson." Especially Li Chao as he spoke. He strode forward, and his demeanor suggested he was about to hit Li Fei. Anyway, Li Fei was partially blind, so hitting him would be too easy. Any of you try to lay a hand on him? Just then, Xiao Feng's tone carried an unspeakable pressure, followed by a direct threat. Whoever dares to touch him, do not blame me for being ruthless. For a moment, Xiao Feng, as a brother-in-law, was like protecting his young. And his words just now were absolutely not just talk. It was 2010 now, and Xiao Feng had a net worth of several hundred million. If someone truly provoked Xiao Feng, spending a little money could solve anything. Not resolving Li Chao's debt, but Li Chao. Of course, Xiao Feng was definitely a law-abiding good citizen, full of integrity, and naturally would not do such a thing. But just saying that was enough to create an absolute deterrent, because no one dared to gamble. When Li Chao heard Xiao Feng's words just now, he instantly understood and immediately lost his temper. This type of person typically bullies the weak and fears the strong. Then, he immediately put on a smiling face again. I was just messing around with Li Fei, how could I hit him? But Xiao Feng, about the 500,000 I just told you about, I really need it urgently, could you? No, before the other party could finish, Xiao Feng flatly refused, not showing any mercy. Huh. Li Chao still showed a surprised expression. It is only 500,000. Just treat it as me borrowing from you. I am doing business, not messing around. Hearing this, Xiao Feng completely could not hold back and burst out laughing. Ha! Only 500,000? Xiao Feng shook his head with a smile. You say it so easily, as if I owe it to you. Furthermore, you are asking me for money, and you do not even tell the truth. Is this your attitude when borrowing money? And you talk about doing business, I think. You owe 500,000 in gambling debts outside, right? You want to use this money to pay off debts. Xiao Feng's sudden words left everyone somewhat dazed, especially Uncle's family. When they heard that Li Chao's 500,000 debt was gambling debt, they felt their world had collapsed. And the most confused was Li Chao. He really could not understand how Xiao Feng knew. In fact, As soon as Xiaofeng entered the house, he had already seen everyone's entries with a glance. Some entries were important, some were not. As for Li Chao's entry, his information already showed that he owed 500,000 in external debt. So Xiaofeng naturally already knew. Facing the truth exposed by Xiaofeng, Li Chao was clearly somewhat flustered. But Li Chao also seemed to have heard another layer of meaning in Xiaofeng's words, asking me for money yet not telling the truth. Li Chao's first reaction was that if he told the truth, Xiaofeng would most likely lend him the money. Anyway, this money had to be borrowed, and since it had already been revealed, there was no point in hiding it. Yes, Li Chao's face was grim. I really do owe 500,000 in gambling debts outside, and this money has to be repaid. If it is not repaid, they will chop off my hands and feet. With Li Chao's admission at that moment, Uncle Li Yongsho almost died on the spot. You. What did you say? You prodigal son. You lost 500,000 gambling. Are you crazy? How could you lose so much? Li Chao lowered his head. I was also temporarily confused, got a bit carried away, and accidentally lost 500,000. What an by accident. When he found out it was 500,000 lost to gambling, Li Yongsho was truly anxious now. If it were borrowing money for business, then it would not matter, even if he could not get it. But if it was lost gambling, it had to be repaid, and their family could not come up with that much money. Although Uncle's family was not poor, they only had one house, and in a small third or fourth tier city like this, it could at most sell for 200,000. As for savings, their family did have 1 or 200,000, but this was to repay 500,000. It meant not only selling the house, but also taking out all their savings, and finally still owing over 100,000 to pay off this 500,000 gambling debt. So now Uncle Li Yongsho truly regarded Xiaofeng as a life-saving straw. Not borrowing was no longer an option. Xiaofeng. Li Yongsho no longer had the high and mighty attitude of an elder from before. Lowering his posture greatly, Li Chao was temporarily confused. Please help him. Right. I was temporarily confused. I promise I will never gamble again. I will give you my card number right now. 6. Saying this, Li Chao actually ceremoniously took out a bank card from his wallet, wanting to give Xiaofeng the card number. Because this action would give people the impression that Xiaofeng had already passively agreed, making it difficult for Xiaofeng to refuse. Only. Get lost. This time, Xiaofeng was completely merciless. A simple get lost was clear and direct. Xiaofeng did not care about future encounters, let alone the fact that Lai Fei had already completely fallen out with them. These two families would no longer interact after this. A single get lost completely shattered Uncle's family's illusion of borrowing money. Li Chao was full of incomprehension, huh? Xiaofeng, what do you mean by this? Did not you just say you wanted me to tell the truth? I have already told the truth. I really owe gambling debts. Why still won't you lend? I am Xinian's cousin after all. Are you really going to stand by and do nothing? Even now, Li Chao was still using his cousin's status to try and get close. Li Xinian, who was beside them, could no longer bear it. Enough, what cousin? From childhood to adulthood, when did you ever act like a cousin? And you, Li Yongsho, I always called you uncle. Yet when I got into university and had my celebration banquet, you deliberately got drunk and caused trouble. Did you think I have forgotten all that? And you keep talking about blood relations, asking us to help you. I want to ask, when our family was so poor, we could not even put food on the table. Why did not you think about blood relations then? My brother Lai Fei's illness could have been completely cured when he was a child. It would not have cost as much money as it does now. My dad pleaded bitterly. Why did not you think about helping us then? Now you remember us, is not it because you saw my boyfriend has money. But what I want to say is, first, that is my boyfriend's money. It is his own money, so do not use our relationship to ask him for a loan. Second, starting today, our two families are completely cut off. Do not contact us again. Third, now, immediately get out of my house. Undoubtedly, this time the two families had completely fallen out. Even Li Xinian herself said it directly. For a moment, Uncle Li Yongsho clutched his chest, gasping for air, still wanting to make a final struggle, because he knew he had no other way. Do not, Xiao Feng. If you do not help us with this 500,000 gambling debt, our family will have to sell our house and all our savings will be gone. We will be completely ruined. Chen Shu's words from before, at this moment, seemed to have become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Facing Uncle Liangshou's final plea, Xiao Feng's expression was understated, yet incredibly firm. What does that have to do with me? This phrase. Xiao Feng had learned it from his ex-wife Shen Yao. But Xiao Feng was perfectly justified in saying this. After all, Uncle's family truly had absolutely no relation to him. Upon hearing Xiao Feng's firm reply again, Uncle's heart could no longer bear it, yet he could not afford to provoke Xiao Feng at all. These people were very clear that if Xiao Feng truly wanted to deal with them, it would be too easy. So even if Xiao Feng did not lend the money, they did not dare to say another unpleasant word. They were all bullies who feared the strong. Li Yongshou clutched his heart. It is over. It is completely over. All the family fortune I accumulated in my life has been squandered by you, unfilial son. It is over. My old age is not secure. After speaking, Li Yongshou could no longer hold on, and directly fainted. Fortunately, an ambulance had been called in advance, and it arrived very promptly. Li Yongshou was carried onto the ambulance, while the cousins could only leave dejectedly. Uncle's family had originally come to watch a joke, but not only did they become the joke, Li Yongshou was even sent to the hospital. As for Li Chao's gambling debt, the 500,000 would cause Uncle's family to be completely ruined. The two families completely fell out from then on. At this moment, Li Jinian's family could not have been happier. Xiao Feng could be said to have given them plenty of face, allowing them to vent their anger thoroughly. And so, Xiao Feng's first meeting with the parents was met with very satisfactory approval in all aspects, even exceeding expectations. There was also a feeling that even though it was Xiao Feng's first visit, he seemed to have already become the decision-maker of this family. Afterward, the family happily raised their glasses together. Cheers! And Xiao Feng's next stop was definitely back to his hometown. He heard that his dad, Xiao Jiangguo, had always wanted to find someone young to see what was going on. After Xiao Feng finished lunch at Li Jinian's house, he chatted with Li Bowen and Chen Shu for a while, then departed at 2 p.m. He was heading to his hometown, Qinghe City. Fortunately, he did not drink alcohol during lunch. Since Xiao Feng had to drive, he opted for tea instead of wine. From Li Jinian's hometown to Qinghe City, the distance was roughly 260 kilometers, which would take about 4 hours on the highway. They were expected to arrive home by 6 p.m. In the car, Li Jinian sat in the passenger seat, her face beaming with a happy smile. She was indeed very happy today. Xiao Feng had helped her save face completely. And now, she was even more excited, heading to Xiao Feng's home to meet her future father-in-law. Along the way, even the air felt sweet. Thank you, Xiao Feng. It's so good to have you. Li Jinian expressed her gratitude. If Xiao Feng were not driving, she would have kissed him. Why are you thanking me again? Of course I have to thank you. Li Jinian said softly, today, you not only helped me and my family get our revenge, but you also gave our family 3 million. I really don't know how to thank you. If it were not for you, I truly do not know when our family would have gotten out of trouble. No, actually, if it were not for you, I would most likely still be in a hospital bed. And unable to afford sufficient medical expenses. I probably would have already started writing my will. Li Jinian was not joking with these words. Because under normal circumstances, even if Li Jinian were not with Xiao Feng, she would most likely have developed lymphoma, and the regular treatment costs would have been more than 500,000. Money Li Jinian simply could not afford. So, the final outcome would very likely have been the same as in her previous life. But precisely because of Xiao Feng, he not only saved Li Jinian, but also rescued her entire family from hardship. Although Li Jinian was not exceptionally clever, she was not foolish at all, understanding critical matters very clearly. As a result, Li Jinian truly believed from the bottom of her heart that Xiao Feng had given her a second life. This life of hers belonged to Xiao Feng. Hearing Li Jinian's words of gratitude, Xiao Feng naturally felt very happy, knowing he was appreciated. Because in his previous life, this had always been one of Xiao Feng's regrets. Not saving Li Jinian, not living a happy life with her. But this time, Xiao Feng had already made up for part of that regret. "Call me hubby? Let me hear it." Xiao Feng's sudden remark instantly broke the original atmosphere, but instead made it even more heartwarming. Even though she had been living with Xiao Feng for a long time, and they did intimate things every day, Li Jinian rarely used the term hubby. Mainly, the term always felt a bit shy and a bit too formal, so Li Jinian had been too embarrassed to say it before. But, hubby, I love you. With a gentle hubby, I love you, Xiao Feng's blood pressure surged a little and his heart swelled with delight. "Yes," Xiao Feng replied readily. "Wifey, I love you too." Suddenly, the atmosphere became a little ambiguous. If they were not driving, they probably would have driven right then. Just like that, the two chatted and laughed, and the scenery along the way seemed even more beautiful. Finally, by 5:30 p.m., they entered Qinghe City and exited the highway. After getting off the highway, they were not far from home, but due to the poor road conditions, it would probably take another half hour to get there. Many areas were gravel roads, full of potholes, and even mud paths. Qinghe City was a standard impoverished city with a total GDP of only about 30 billion yuan. Xiao Feng's hometown was in Baiyun County, Qinghe City, which was an impoverished county within an impoverished city. While the city's GDP was 30 billion yuan, Baiyun County's GDP was even lower, only about 5 billion yuan. It was considered to be at the bottom nationwide, only slightly better than remote mountainous areas. However, fortunately, it was not considered a remote region. There was still a city center, a county center, and a town center. The so-called small town center was also referred to as downtown. It was simply the central hub for a dozen or so nearby villages. For example, if people wanted to go to the market, buy daily necessities, or some cooked food, or dine out, they would come to the town. Soon, Xiao Feng arrived in Ninghe town. It was already 6 p.m., and many deli shops lined both sides of the street, selling braised dishes. Although his father, Xiao Zhangguo, had surely prepared a table full of dishes at home, Xiao Feng still wanted to buy some braised deli items. Mainly, there was one deli whose food tasted exceptionally good, and Xiao Feng had loved eating there since he was a child. It was the taste of home, the taste of his childhood. However, just as he arrived at the entrance of Aunt Bai's deli, a flicker of disappointment crossed Xiao Feng's face. "Huh, it is closed today. Never mind, I won't eat then." Xiao Feng pressed the accelerator and drove in the direction of his home. At this moment, most young people on the road recognized Xiao Feng's car. Holy cow, the latest Porsche Panamera. Oh my God, how can there be such a car in our poor little place? Judging by that direction, it should be heading towards Xintian village. I have only seen this car online. This is my first time seeing it in real life. It is truly beautiful. In 2010, driving a 2.7 million yuan car on rural gravel roads. Anyone who recognized the vehicle could not help but exclaim in surprise. More than that, it was admiration. If it were to stop, people might even come over to take photos. After all, this model was definitely considered a luxury car at the time. Meanwhile, at the entrance of Xintian village, several villagers were gathered at the village entrance, some holding bowls of rice, others fanning themselves with palm leaf fans, all chatting idly. This kind of scene was very common at the village entrance. Especially some people always liked to come out with their food and chat with others. These people were naturally all from Xintian village, including aunties and uncles of various ages, discussing all sorts of topics. Sigh. The harvest this year is really bad. My 5 mu of land, all in all, only made about 8,000 yuan. Yours is not bad at all. My 7 mu of land, even with me watering and fertilizing it every day, only made about 5,000 yuan. If you ask me, I am not farming next year. If push comes to shove, I will go work elsewhere. Me too. I heard that working in a factory outside, women can earn 2,000 yuan a month, which is better than farming. Indeed, fewer and fewer people are willing to farm now. Otherwise, we would not have so much land lying fallow. Sigh. Yes, people who go out to work really do better than us who farm at home. A year of rice and wheat, 2 harvests, at most brings in 15,000 yuan. On average, that is only 1,200 yuan a month. But then again, no matter how good it is outside, how can it compare to being home? The key is, we have been farmers our whole lives. We really do not want to leave. Who is arguing, if farming made money, who would go out? But farming really does not make money these days. Yeah, working yourself to death all year for 10,000 yuan. But if you go out to work, it feels so chaotic out there. Old Lou's kid, who went out to work a couple years ago, got lost right after getting off the train. Heard they were abducted. An adult like that can still be abducted. What happened? They were taken for parts. Yeah, so it is better not to go out. Just honestly farm at home. The villagers at the entrance just chatted about whatever came to mind, seizing on any topic. And right now, they were talking about how farming at home did not make money, but they also did not want to go out to work. Those who could go out had actually already left. Those who did not want to go out truly did not want to. So we should just honestly farm at home. Most of those who can go out are one of three types. Either they have a special skill, or they are daring and ambitious, or they are college students. Speaking of college students, the one from our village who got into the best university seems to be Xiaofeng, from Xiao Jianguo's family. Right? Yes, it is him. It is called something like 211, considered a reputable good university. Have you heard this Xiaofeng is quite capable now? He has even opened a company in Jiangzhen City. Oh, we already knew that. Who in our village has not heard? After all, Xiao Jianguo tells everyone he meets that his son opened a company. Oh, right? He also said Xiaofeng gave him a total of 200,000 yuan in the past 2 months, calling it pocket money. Seriously, you guys believe that if he can give Xiao Jianguo 100,000 yuan in pocket money every month, then Xiaofeng must be earning at least 1 million yuan a month. Honestly, Xiao Jianguo is definitely bragging a bit. That is too far-fetched. Even though we say that, have you noticed that Xiao Jianguo has really changed in the past 2 months? His whole demeanor and energy have improved. If you ask me, it is probably true that Xiaofeng is doing well outside, otherwise Xiao Jianguo would not be in such good spirits. But to say he gives him 100,000 yuan a month, that is certainly a bit exaggerated. Still, Xiaofeng is the best college student in our village. If he really makes something of himself, our whole village will benefit from his prestige. That's true. Honestly, I really like that kid Xiaofeng. When he came to my house as a child, I'd always boil him 2 eggs. What is that? He came to my house for meals countless times when he was little. Mainly, this kid was truly likable. Plus his mother. Sigh. Never mind. Let us not talk about his mother. Right. Let us not talk about his mother. And, didn't you hear Xiao Jianguo say that Xiaofeng is coming back today, and he is bringing his girlfriend? Is that so? How come I did not know? Xiao Jianguo mentioned it when he was chatting with us at noon. You were out in the fields spreading fertilizer then. That kid has not been back for more than half a year. I really want to see him. Just as the villagers were chatting at the village entrance, a white Porsche coincidentally pulled up to the village entrance, and the car window rolled down. Uncle, Wang, Aunt, Zhang, Uncle Yang, are you all just chatting here? You are. Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, after all, was born and raised in this village. The village itself was not large, with only over 100 households, so everyone knew him. As Xiaofeng greeted them, the uncles and aunties at the village entrance immediately recognized him. When they saw Xiaofeng driving a car back, their first reaction was still quite surprised. Although they had no idea how much the car cost these days, if you could afford a sedan, it usually started at around 100,000. In a place like this, driving a sedan meant you were already a cut above the rest. The uncles and aunties immediately responded with enthusiasm. Oh my, it really is Xiaofeng. You have not been back in over half a year, have you? Little Xiao auntie has missed you dearly. Come to my house for dinner later, okay? Go to your house for what? Xiaofeng brought his girlfriend back. Xiao Jianguo must have prepared a huge feast. Oh, this beautiful girl in the passenger seat. She would not happen to be your girlfriend, would she? The young lady is so lovely. As expected of our village's best college student, truly capable, bought a new car and brought his girlfriend back. And the key is, his girlfriend is so beautiful. She must be a college student too, right? Haha, Xiaofeng also smiled and nodded, exchanging a few more polite words. That is how it was in the village, no matter what they said behind your back. Face to face, they always spoke very nicely. Of course, Xiaofeng had been especially well-liked in Xintian village since he was a child, and he was always very sweet talkative. Most importantly, in the current timeline, the more remote the village, the more people viewed college students through rose-tinted glasses. If a family produced a college student, it was a matter of bringing great honor to the ancestors, especially since everyone knew Xiaofeng got into a prestigious university. Unlike Li Jinian, her relatives, her paternal uncle's family, were envious and jealous. But Xiaofeng, as the best college student in the whole village, gave people a feeling of the hope of the entire village. Of course, there were certainly bad people among the masses, and jealousy was inevitable, but good people still outnumbered them. Xiaofeng chatted briefly with everyone. All right, uncles and aunties, you all continue chatting. I will head home first. All right, stay home and relax for a couple of days. Okay, feel free to bring your girlfriend to my house for a meal sometime. Got it. Then, Xiaofeng stepped on the gas and drove towards his doorstep. After Xiaofeng left, these uncles and aunties started discussing animatedly. That child Xiaofeng really made something of himself, driving a sedan home. Yeah, did not he just graduate? Did he make big money so quickly? This car must be at least 150,000, right? You think? Could it be a rental car after all, bringing his girlfriend back? Renting a car would be quite reasonable. Look at you talking like that. Xiaofeng gave his dad Jiangguo 200,000 for 2 consecutive months. Is not buying a car perfectly normal? It would not be a rental. That is true. I just wonder if that 200,000 was real or not. Who cares if it is real or fake? He definitely earned money. Otherwise, he would not even have rental car money. Indeed, I knew this kid would do well ever since he was little. The scene shifts. Xiaofeng had already parked the car at his doorstep. Xiaofeng's old family house was a typical large tiled farmhouse with a rusty red iron gate at the entrance. The main gate was not closed. It was ajar. Xiaofeng parked the car outside and walked in with Li Jinian. Pushing open the gate, they could see the main hall. On either side of the main hall were 2 bedrooms, the master bedroom and the secondary bedroom. To the left of the courtyard was a small room, specifically for cooking. A fancier term for it was the kitchen, but in the countryside it was called the pot room. As soon as they entered the courtyard, they heard voices talking in the kitchen. To be precise, there was a woman's voice. Xiaofeng and Li Jinian exchanged glances, a slight, inexplicable curve forming on their lips, hinting at a bit of gossip. Just then, Xiao Jiangguo hobbled out of the kitchen, holding a freshly stir-fried dish, presumably to carry it to the main hall or living room. He happened to spot Xiaofeng at a glance. "Dad, I brought Xinian to see you." Upon seeing Xiaofeng and Li Jinian, Xiao Jiangguo could not have been more thrilled. "Oh, son, you are back." Xiao Jiangguo also noticed Li Jinian beside him at the same time, his eyes filled with joy. "Come, daughter, quickly come in and sit down." "Hello, Uncle Li Jinian," also greeted him warmly. "You look a lot younger than in your photos, Uncle." That was certainly true. Xiao Jiangguo was only 48 this year. Before, due to overwork and his job collecting scrap, he was always dirty, and a lot of white hair had grown, making him seem over 55. But in the past 2 months, since his son was doing well, Xiao Jiangguo's mood had been excellent every day, naturally making him appear younger and more energetic. Of course, clothes make the man, and Xiao Jiangguo's attire today indeed made him look younger. He even styled his hair and seemed to have used hair gel. How to describe it? It had a somewhat rustic sense of fashion, like a groom from over 20 years ago. Anyone who did not know might think he was in love. And just at this moment, from the kitchen, a woman wearing an old-fashioned red cheongsam walked out of the pot room. Judging by her age, the woman did not seem very young. Her age should be similar to Li Jinian's mother, Chen Shu. Her appearance was not stunning, but she exuded a serene charm. The woman's smile was gentle and comforting. Although she wore a cheongsam, her demeanor was not flamboyant. It only revealed the gentleness and simplicity refined by years. She was, in short, still elegant and charming. Dad sure found himself a good catch. Xiao Jianguo's top pick. Suddenly, Father Xiao Jianguo was grinning from ear to ear like a sea dog, unable to hide the happy smile on his face. And Xiao Jianguo did not immediately make introductions because Xiao Feng, hello there? Bai Yaji took the initiative to greet them. Auntie Bai. In a brief moment, Xiao Feng recognized the woman in front of him at a glance. It was none other than Auntie Bai, the female owner of the cooked food store in town. Since he was little, Xiao Feng particularly loved her cooked food. The taste was absolutely superb. In the past, whenever Xiao Feng wanted to eat her food, Xiao Jianguo would immediately go buy it for him. Over time, they naturally got to know each other. However, the Auntie Bai he remembered was only plain and simple, not dressed like this today. This outfit today was quite a surprise, but it genuinely looked good. Although Auntie Bai was definitely over 50, she did not look old at all, especially wearing this cheongsam today. It gave her a unique charm. Dad sure found himself a good catch. At this moment, Xiao Jianguo was truly beaming with pride, barely able to keep his smile in check. He thought to himself, "What do you think, son? Dad's taste is not bad, is it? Dad, what is going on with you and Auntie Bai?" He. Xiao Jianguo grinned. Auntie Bai has been single for all these years, and we have really hit it off, so we plan to live together from now on? Xiao Jianguo's explanation did not seem that simple. After all, it was too fast they could get together in just 2 months. But Xiao Feng certainly could not ask that directly. After all, this was his dad's second spring. He should not mess it up for him. Well then, I will go stir-fry some dishes. You two chat, Bai Yaji said, returning to the kitchen. Xiao Feng then led Li Jinian towards the living room. Dad. Xiao Feng suddenly said mysteriously, "Tell me the truth. What is really going on? How did you and Auntie Bai get together?" Now there were only 3 people chatting: Xiao Feng, Li Jinian, and Xiao Jianguo. Xiao Feng's gossipy expression clearly showed he wanted to know the truth. Xiao Jianguo's face was still beaming with a triumphant smile. "Well, we just got together. We hit it off. But I thought Auntie Bai looked quite old. She is probably a few years older than you, right?" She is 53, 5 years older than me," Xiao Feng said with a hint of teasing in his tone, speaking of which, "Did not you say you wanted to find someone younger when you called last time?" "Oh, come on." Xiao Jianguo scratched his head, struggling to control the rising corners of his mouth, and after a long pause, he said, Actually, I like older women." After hearing Xiao Jianguo's explanation, Xiao Feng and Li Jinian almost fainted. Damn, he also likes older woman, younger man relationships. How is this an older woman, younger man relationship? This is clearly a Twilight romance. However, when he heard his father answer in such a tone, Xiao Feng was happy from the bottom of his heart. Not because his father liked older woman, younger man relationships, but because his father's tone was clearly not serious. But it was precisely this unserious answer that reflected how good his father's mood was right now, still able to crack jokes. You see, every time Xiao Feng used to come home, his father was always frowning because he was worried about Xiao Feng all day, afraid that Xiao Feng would not be able to marry a wife in the future, and afraid that he would not make money. As a result, at that time, his father was anxious all day and had no mood for joking. But now it was different. His father's whole state was like someone in his 30s, which was a sign of happiness. Now there was no need to worry about Xiao Feng not being able to marry a wife, nor to worry about not making money. With such a capable son, his state was naturally different. So money really does nourish people and can even change a person's personality. And Xiao Jianguo was now experiencing his second spring. After being single for so many years, he finally found his other half. Xiao Feng listened to Xiao Jianguo's remark about also liking older woman, younger man relationships and jokingly complained, "Dad, be a little more serious. Jinian is still here." Oh, Xiao Jianguo symbolically reined it in a bit, but still could not help but mutter softly, "What is wrong? You're allowed to like older woman, younger man relationships, but I am not allowed to find one." For a moment, the atmosphere was warm and harmonious, precisely because of his dad's slightly unserious demeanor. Li Jinian felt not an ounce of nervousness on her first visit, feeling as if she had returned home. Haha Li Jinian beside them also heard Xiao Jianguo's soft murmur and could not help but cover her mouth and snicker. Uncle is really humorous. Xiao Jianguo, after being praised, was also delighted. I think humor is just a little bit mainly. I am very romantic. All right, Dad, let us get back to the point. How exactly did you and Aunt Bai get together? Xiao Feng asked, curious. Xiao Feng actually had some other conjectures. After all, Bai Yaji at least had her own braised food store, and business was quite good. Plus, she looked decent and had good temperament. As for Xiao Jianguo, because he suffered a disability in his left leg when he was young. He always walked with a slight limp. Logically, there was no reason for the two of them to get together so quickly. So for a moment, Xiao Feng even wondered if it was because his father suddenly became rich, and therefore, so Bai Yaji was after his father's money. Of course, the reason Xiao Feng thought this was also out of fear that his father might be scammed. It never hurt to consider things more thoroughly. Facing Xiao Feng's persistent questioning, Xiao Jianguo naturally understood what his son wanted to ask. Xiao Jianguo first glanced at the kitchen shed in the yard, and then his originally somewhat playful face suddenly became a bit more solemn. He let out a long sigh. Xiao Feng, Jinian is here too, so I will tell you both the truth. As you know, I have not looked for another partner all these years, mainly because you were young then, and I was afraid you would worry about feeling like an outsider if I remarried. Secondly, you know our family's conditions before. I was thinking every day about how to make more money. How could I have the heart to look for another partner? So all these years I have been living alone. But actually, your Aunt Bai and I have had feelings for each other for a long time. It is just that neither of us said anything before, keeping it hidden in our hearts. Previously, your Aunt Bai even hinted at it to me, but given my situation at the time, I could not even get a full meal myself and still had to save for your bride price, so I naturally did not consider it. But now your situation has improved, and I do not have to worry anymore. Plus, it was you who proactively told me last month that you could accept me finding someone else. So, at this point, Xiao Jianguo's originally solemn face once again revealed a hint of pride. So, Aunt Bai and I naturally got together. After all, we had liked each other for a long time, and both knew each other's feelings. After hearing Xiao Jianguo's explanation, Xiao Feng also dispelled his previous conjectures. No wonder. Xiao Feng also breathed a sigh of relief. I overthought it. So you two had already been secretly developing feelings. What do you mean, secretly developing feelings? Xiao Jianguo complained with a black line on his face. You are a college student. What kind of adjective are you using? We have been mutually in love for a long time. It was indeed mutual love. Seeing his father in this state, Xiao Feng felt quite reassured. At least when he was not home in the future, his father finally had someone to accompany him, to live life together, and the two of them liked each other. Before long, as all the dishes were served, there were a total of 8 dishes on the table, along with some cooked braised food, all of which Xiao Feng loved to eat. It goes without saying. From now on, Xiao Feng could eat his favorite braised food every day. And Xiao Feng also took out the gift he had prepared for his dad from the trunk. 2 sets were prepared in total, one for Li Jinian's family and one for his dad. Both sets were identical. There was no saying that one party got more or less than the other. The whole family. At this moment, it was incredibly warm. Xiao Feng was also very satisfied with Aunt Bai, the other half his father had found. And Xiao Jianguo was also very satisfied with this wife. Both father and son gave each other an approving look. Afterwards, during dinner, Xiao Feng also roughly talked about his plans for the next few days. He planned to stay home for about a week in total, but it was definitely not for leisure. The first thing was to arrange for an engineering team to renovate the old family home. A residential plot like theirs was generally at least 300 square meters. As long as the budget was sufficient, they could build a pretty decent villa, which could also be called a mansion. A 2-story style with an attic. And most importantly, it was a project Xiao Feng had planned a long time ago. What, you're going to farm? Xiao Jianguo was clearly surprised after hearing Xiao Feng's words. It is greenhouse cultivation. The weather is about to get cold now, so I plan to plant some off-season vegetables and supply them to the north later. These off-season vegetables currently have very high profits, and the cycle is fast, so they can quickly recover costs. It is currently a hot trend. Xiao Feng explained to his father very seriously, but Xiao Jianguo was completely confused after listening. No, Xiao Feng, although I support whatever you want to do, I really do not understand. You are running your company so well in Jiangxin City, and now you want to come back to grow vegetables. Won't this be tiring and not make any money? Besides, you will have to spray pesticides and fertilize every day. You will have to learn all this from scratch. That is too much hardship. Xiao Feng pressed his hand to his forehead, also looking helpless. Dad, you misunderstood. I am not personally farming. I am hiring people, many people. I am only responsible for investment and planning the direction. In the villages around us, many people have gone out to work and a lot of land has been abandoned. Altogether, there are at least 2,000 or 3,000 mu. I plan to lease all this land. The plan is to lease 3,000 mu, all for cultivation, with each 1,000 mu having a different plan direction, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. As Xiao Feng's words fell, the chopsticks in Xiao Jianguo's hand almost dropped to the floor. He had been poor his whole life and had farmed for half a lifetime. He previously had no concept in his mind. His thoughts were only limited to around 5-10 mu. How? How much? You want to lease 3,000 mu. If conditions allow, 5,000 mu would not be impossible either. The next day, Xiao Feng was a man of action, especially since everything was already planned. He first went to the village committee, found the village party secretary, and briefly explained his idea. When village party secretary Wang Lijun heard it, his first reaction was that Xiao Feng was just talking nonsense. What did you say, Xiao Feng? I watched you grow up. You said you want to contract 3,000 mu. All the villages around here combined probably only add up to 3,000 mu. And, what you just said, this investment of 3,000 mu is going to be around 50 million yuan. Xiao Feng, it is not that I do not trust you, but what you are saying is really hard for me to believe. Because if this were true, such an investment, let alone the town, even our county's #1 would have to come personally. Village Party Secretary Wang Lijun did know Xiao Feng. After all, the village was not big, and he knew Xiao Feng's background well. Even if he heard Xiao Feng had made money outside recently, he simply did not believe the investment Xiao Feng just mentioned. Xiao Feng opened his mouth and said he planned to invest 50 million yuan. Who would believe someone would invest 50 million yuan in this poor, remote place? And he also said it was for planting vegetables and such. What kind of profit could possibly earn back 50 million yuan? Naturally, he did not believe it. Just then, at the entrance of the village committee, a group of uncles and aunties were chatting. After hearing the conversation between Xiao Feng and the village party secretary, they also expressed their difficulty in understanding. Although no one said it directly, the whispers did not stop. Oh no! What is wrong with Xiao Feng? Why is he talking nonsense? Yeah. I heard him talking to old Wang, the village party secretary, about investing 50 million yuan to grow vegetables and contracting 3,000 mu. Is that even possible? Do you think the child was stimulated by something? But he looks pretty good. Exactly. He drove a car home yesterday and seemed fine. Why does he seem crazy today? Hey, do not talk nonsense. This is Xintian Village's most outstanding university student. How could he be crazy? But do you want to hear what he is saying? Contracting 3,000 mu, investing 50 million yuan? Which of those statements do you think a normal person would make? Besides, stepping back a bit, Xiao Feng just said 50 million yuan, not 5,000 yuan. How could he possibly have that much? That seems right. Oh no, so that means our village's most outstanding university student. He is really gone crazy. Oh my, Xiao Feng used to be such a good kid. My heart aches. Exactly. We originally thought he was the hope of our entire village, and now, sigh. The uncles and aunties started chattering again, but it was clear from their conversation that none of them were being sarcastic, rather. They felt pity. Mainly, Xiao Feng was born and raised in this village, and he had a harmonious relationship with these villagers since childhood. If Xiao Feng really wanted to do something, these villagers alone would strongly support him. because this was not an outsider coming to invest. If it were an outsider investing, the villagers might make things difficult. Xiao Feng was a local, from their own village. Especially as the most outstanding university student in the entire village, everyone would certainly support him even more. It is just that. Xiao Feng's idea today was simply too outrageous for the villagers. As the villagers said, that was 50 million yuan, an astronomical figure. No villager with a normal mind would believe someone would throw 50 million yuan into this impoverished mountain. Hollow! Meanwhile, Xiao Feng was still discussing his ideas with village party secretary Wang Lijun. Xiao Feng could anticipate Wang Lijun's reaction. After discussing his ideas, Xiao Feng no longer offered unnecessary explanations. He just did one simple and clear thing. He called village party secretary Wang Lijun aside, opened his phone, tapped a few times, as if logging into an app. The reason for doing it quietly was mainly that there was no need to be overly ostentatious. The next second, when Wang Lijun saw the balance on Xiao Feng's phone, his pupils suddenly contracted. He looked at Xiao Feng as if he were looking at a god. This was no exaggeration. Only at this moment did Wang Lijun clearly realize that the plan Xiao Feng had just described was not a joke. A person with over 500 million yuan stating they wanted to invest 50 million yuan was no longer a joke at all. Wang Lijun's Adam's apple bobbed immediately. Xiao Feng, are you? Are you really sure you want to invest 50 million yuan, throwing it into our poor village, and for planting vegetables? Yes. Vegetables are one part, a short-term investment. There are also medium-term and long-term plans. In short, I am 100% confident it will be profitable. So rest assured I am not joking. With Xiao Feng's final, clear affirmation, village party secretary Wang Lijun's face immediately showed an irrepressible excitement. He tremblingly pulled out his oldest model PHS phone, his hands shaking. He then dialed a number. The call went to Ninghe Town. He also explained the current situation. At first, the town leaders did not believe it at all. But since the village party secretary personally guaranteed it, they came with some doubt. Anyway, it only took about 15 minutes to get from the town to the village. Since this was not a small matter, and if it turned out to be true, it would be a huge deal. Town head Zhang Fulin came personally. He rode a new but old-looking Tianjiang brand motorcycle. It looked old because the muddy road was too bumpy and full of mud. It was a mess. Behind him were two companions who were probably also minor town leaders. Everyone arrived on motorcycles. Ninghe Town currently had these conditions. Even leaders could only ride motorcycles. Upon meeting, Xiao Feng still presented his idea as before, but the most crucial part was the astonishing balance. Because no explanation was as straightforward as this. After it was thoroughly confirmed that Xiao Feng truly intended to invest, even town head Zhang Fulin could not hide his excitement. For the village party secretary, he had no concept of 50 million yuan, only knowing it was an astronomical figure. But for the town leaders, if 50 million yuan were invested in the entire small town, the town's GDP would instantly skyrocket. Moreover, with 50 million yuan coming in, the entire county's GDP would be boosted. Immediately, the town head also promptly made a call. This time, the call went to the county, directly to the county's number one. A 50 million yuan investment in a poor county was a super large project for the entire county. Upon receiving the call, the county's number one reconfirmed everything, then put down all his work, and was already on the way with his team. However, the county was quite far from the village, at least half an hour away. During this time, town head Zhang Fulin continued to discuss work with Xiao Feng, talking about every next step. The villagers gathered at the entrance of the village committee were bewildered when they saw the town head arrive, but they seemed to have guessed something. The main conversation was happening inside the house, and the villagers were outside, unable to hear anything, so they could only guess. Hey, what is going on? I saw the town head himself came, and he is talking very seriously with Xiao Feng. You guys, could it be that Xiao Feng's investment idea is actually true? How could that be? No matter what you say, I do not believe it. 50 million yuan invested in our poor place. And besides, Xiaofeng does not have that kind of money. That is what they say. But, look, ever since the town head entered the house, he and village party secretary Wang Lijun have been talking inside. If it were fake, the town head would surely turn around and leave. But now, they have been talking for 20 minutes. But, if it is true, how could Xiaofeng possibly come up with 50 million yuan? No. I estimate that Xiaofeng probably does have an idea, and it is a pretty good one. So the town head listened for a while longer. As for investing 50 million yuan, that is obviously impossible. It is fine, no matter what. My heart can finally rest easy. At least Xiaofeng is not crazy, like we just thought. That is true. If Xiaofeng were really crazy, the town head would not stay here to continue talking with him. But what I am curious about is, what exactly can Xiaofeng talk about with the town head? Yeah, even though Xiaofeng is a university student, the town head is pretty busy every day. The fact that he can still take so much time to chat with Xiaofeng, could it be that there is really a good thing that could benefit the town's development? Honestly, you are thinking too much. What kind of good development projects could our rundown little town possibly have? Let alone our Ning town, even our Bayun County, people are not willing to invest. They just hold their noses and leave. I heard about that too. Last year, the county's #1 personally received a dairy farmer businessman and accompanied him throughout his inspection. The businessman originally planned to invest 30 million yuan to build a dairy farm base, but after the inspection, he turned around and left. Is that necessary? The county's #1 accompanied him throughout to attract a 30 million yuan investment, and he did not even get it in the end. Of course it is necessary. It is not just 30 million yuan. It is a 30 million yuan investment. We are a poor county. Last year, the total GDP was only about 4.3 billion yuan. If we could attract a 30 million yuan investment, that 30 million yuan could leverage at least 3 to 4 times that in GDP. In other words, a 30 million yuan investment in our county could increase our county's GDP by 100 million yuan, a minimum increase of 2%. These are all political achievements. If you put it that way, it is true. An annual increase of 5% in total GDP for a region is considered meeting the target. If one dairy farm can increase the county's total by 2%, then it is certainly worth accompanying personally. No way. We are a poor county. Attracting investment is too difficult. If I were the county's #1... Hey, wait a minute. Look. Oh my gosh. What is going on? Why is there a motorcade here? Just as everyone was chatting leisurely at the entrance of the village committee, on the muddy road not far away, a motorcade could be seen from afar. There were 4 cars in total, all old model Santanas, as old as could be. Although the cars were very old in this poor place. Back in 2010, just having a car was already very impressive. And 4 of them arrived simultaneously. Suddenly, someone recognized them at a glance. Wait, I remember now, these are county cars. The one leading the way looks like the county's #1's official car. The county's #1. Oh my gosh. It looks like the county's #2 is here too. The 2 cars behind should also belong to leaders. Wait, why have all their cars stopped? What stopped? Clearly, the wheels are stuck in the mud. Oh my goodness, this terrible road. Everyone quickly go give them a push. When they saw the county's motorcade, all the villagers were astonished. For a county motorcade like this to come to Xintian village was absolutely an extremely rare event. Especially with 4 vehicles traveling together, the county party secretary, the county magistrate, and the 2 vehicles behind them, who should also be leaders. There were at least a dozen people in the 4 vehicles. Those who did not know might have thought it was a collective inspection tour. Such a motorcade, such a display, was indeed a rare sight. However, one moment it was a grand display. The next, an embarrassing scene occurred. The vehicle leading the county party secretary's motorcade got its wheels stuck in a mud pit due to the slippery dirt road. Upon seeing this, the villagers who had been chatting quickly ran over to help push the car. And once everyone got closer, they fully confirmed that these were indeed the county's vehicles. The county party secretary also got out of the car at this moment, first greeting everyone politely, completely without airs. He Shuheng was only 31 years old this year, tall and slender, wearing an ordinary jacket. His speech was neither ostentatious, nor did he have the usual officialdom airs. He always gave off an elegant temperament, yet his eyes held a hint of resilience. In short, he was very down to earth. And ultimately, he was only 31 years old this year, already holding the position of county party secretary with an immeasurable future ahead. Thank you, everyone. You have all worked hard. Since they were only dozens of meters away from the village committee, He Shuheng led everyone to walk the rest of the way. Walking on this muddy road required keeping a close eye on one's feet, otherwise, one might accidentally separate their shoe from their foot. The reason was that if one's foot sank into the mud, it would be hard to pull out due to the suction. This muddy road, if this investment deal goes through, we will have to squeeze our public finances and absolutely build a dedicated road here, He Shuheng proposed. Indeed, County Magistrate Chen Yuanfeng echoed. If the deal really goes through, this road absolutely must be built. After all, the last dairy farmer who came left because the road was too bad, and he could not afford the time cost. However, our public finance budget. If we want to build a road, I am afraid. Sigh. Chen Yuanfeng sighed after speaking, a hint of helplessness on his face. As the county party secretary, He Shuheng naturally knew how great the financial pressure was, let alone building a road. Even fixing a streetlight was difficult. But even so, for the 50 million investment to be successfully achieved, he gritted his teeth as if having made a certain determination. I will think of a way this road definitely needs to be built. As they spoke, the group had already arrived at the entrance of the village committee, and township head Zhang Fulan quickly came out to greet them. Secretary He, hello. Let me introduce you. This is President Xiao, whom I mentioned on the phone just now. He is the one who said he would invest 50 million. Following Zhang Fulan's introduction, He Shuheng proactively shook hands. Hello, President Xiao. I did not expect you to be so young. Secretary He, hello. Just call me Xiao Feng. You are also younger than I imagined. The two exchanged simple pleasantries. Indeed, given their current ages, both were very young. Xiao Feng was only 22 this year, and being able to invest 50 million certainly exceeded expectations. As for He Shuheng, he was only 31 this year, and holding his current position spoke for itself. And in Xiao Feng's memory, He Shuheng later became the province's third highest figure, and he was only 47 that year. However, after the handshake, a line of text also refreshed before Xiao Feng's eyes. Hidden information, He Shuheng's father, He Jinhua. Although this entry was just a few short words, it was hidden information. And this so-called hidden information shocked and even astounded Xiao Feng. In his memory, Xiao Feng only remembered that a decade or so later, He Shuheng became one of the provincial bigwigs, and he was still very young. As for anything else, he knew nothing. But until this moment, Xiao Feng only learned through the text entry that He Shuheng's father would later become a true central figure of power. That was someone on the peak list. However, both now and in the future, few people knew about the relationship between the father and son. It should have been deliberately hidden. But the information in the text entry could be seen all at once. At this moment, Xiao Feng was both surprised and delighted. As for why he was both surprised and delighted, it still went without saying. Subsequently, Xiao Feng communicated his ideas to He Shuheng once again. Currently, Xiao Feng planned to lease a total of 3,000 mu, all to be used for cultivation, with the vast majority being greenhouse style. At this moment, everyone was either indoors or at the entrance, so the villagers could also hear the conversation. And after He Shuheng finished listening to Xiao Feng, his face lit up with joy. After all, this was a 50 million investment, and it was not one they had to actively solicit. It was like a stroke of good fortune suddenly falling from the sky. Excellent, President Xiao. I fully endorse your investment intention. This will greatly boost our local economy and employment opportunities. As long as you are willing to invest any request you make, as long as we can fulfill it, we will do our utmost to help you overcome all difficulties and give you the green light throughout the process. He Shuheng also showed his sincerity, stating that any matter within the rules could be helped and resolved. And Xiao Feng continued to explain his subsequent plans. He planned to use Sintian Village as a central point, leasing all the temporarily abandoned farmlands in the surrounding villages with a temporary target of 3,000 mu. The 3,000 mu, although all for cultivation, would be divided into 3 phases: short-term 1,000 mu, mid-term 1,000 mu, long-term 1,000 mu. Short-term, maturing in 20-50 days, including zucchini, cherry radishes, water spinach, etc. These have short cycles, stable prices, and sell quickly. Mid-term, maturing in 2-5 months, suitable for planting mung beans, ginger, and off-season gourds and eggplants. These are currently a hot trend and quite profitable. Long-term, with a time cost of 1-3 years, we'll consider planting some Chinese medicinal herbs, such as Anoectochilus formosanus, Atractylodes macrocephala, Salvia miltioriza, etc. In any case, there are a total of 3,000 mu, with each 1,000 mu dedicated to different types of products with different cycles. The fastest, such as water spinach, can be harvested in 20-25 days from sowing, achieving profitability by then. In short, in the current environment, even if cultivation does not seem like a high-end industry, it is a hot trend. As Xiaofeng finished explaining his ideas, He Shuheng repeatedly praised and approved. No problem. I will state my position first. Regarding the 3,000 mute lease, my government fully supports the subsequent work and will assist with various coordinations, as well as accelerate all upcoming procedures, granting green light passage. Additionally, next to me is Du Qiaming, the director of our Agricultural Bureau, who can provide technical guidance and assistance for the upcoming cultivation projects. In short, President Xiao, just go ahead boldly. If you need any help, you can call me directly. He Shuheng's attitude already spoke for itself. He was now desperate for investment. These were all achievements for his political career. Moreover, a 50 million investment could leverage at least 200 million in GDP. Last year, the county's total GDP was only 4.3 billion, and a normal annual GDP increase of 5% was considered quite good. In other words, Xiaofeng's single investment had already met the annual target. However, Xiaofeng's next words brought He Shuheng another pleasant surprise. Okay, no problem. But this 50 million I am investing is only for leasing and cultivating 3,000 mu. Next, I will invest another 30 million to build cold storage facilities and an agricultural product processing plant, because I need to build a complete industrial chain, including transportation. Speaking of transportation, I will invest another 20 million for development and construction the road. I will build it. Therefore, my total investment target is 100 million. As Xiaofeng's words fell in just a few seconds, the entire place became utterly silent. Everyone looked at Xiaofeng with shocked pupils, Xiaofeng's every word still echoing in their ears. 50 million for leasing, 30 million for building factories, 20 million for development and road construction, to form a complete industrial chain here. This whole package would indeed require 100 million. And if the total investment really reached 100 million, then the entire Xintian village would undergo earth-shattering changes, and villagers would no longer need to consider working elsewhere. Not just Xintian village, it is estimated that villagers from several other villages in Ninghe town, anyone at home, could come to work for Xiaofeng. Upon hearing that the total investment reached 100 million, even the county party secretary He Shuheng's expression was no longer calm. Primarily, Xiaofeng was not just investing, but also building factories and establishing a complete industrial chain which could drive at least 300 million in GDP. This could boost the county's GDP by at least 8%, 10%. This was a poverty-stricken county with a GDP of only 4.3 billion, and now a direct investment of 100 million was pouring in, especially the last sentence. Xiaofeng was even going to allocate 20 million for development and construction, as well as helping to build roads. This immediately solved the difficult problem He Shuheng had been considering earlier, providing both investment and road construction. At this moment, He Shuheng looked at Xiaofeng with different eyes, no longer viewing Xiaofeng merely as an investor, but more like a friend. He Shuheng extended both hands and shook his hand tightly. Excellent Xiaofeng, on behalf of our Baiyun County government, I thank you for your substantial investment. It is my pleasure. I mainly want to contribute more to my hometown. At this moment, nothing more needed to be said. Xiao Feng, He Shuheng, and other leaders finalized all proposals after an hour-long discussion. All that remained was to implement the plan. Regarding the implementation of the plan, He Shuheng proactively assured them that all processes and procedures would be approved at the fastest possible speed. Everything was for the smooth progress of the investment. In short, from contracting these 3,000 mu to the site for factory construction and road building. Everything was strongly supported for Xiao Feng, because Xiao Feng was not just building for his hometown, but also enabling the entire Baiyun County to enjoy certain dividends. At the same time, all villagers of Xintian village who had not gone out to work had also received the news and gathered. Men, women, and children were present, numbering several dozen people. Of course, many people had not come. Some were already working in the fields, and others had gone to work in the county, belonging to daily commutes, only returning in the evening. A larger portion had gone to other places, meaning big cities. But without a doubt, it would not be long before everyone knew this news. And now, dozens of people had gathered just outside the village committee office. Everyone was discussing Xiao Feng's plan to invest 100 million yuan in his hometown. It is true. It is true. It is 100% confirmed. Just now, County Leader No. 1 communicated with Xiao Feng in person, and all the plans have been finalized. My goodness, Xiao Feng really was not joking before. He is actually going to invest 50 million yuan. What 50 million yuan? It is 100 million yuan, with 50 million yuan specifically for development and construction. My word, investing 100 million yuan in our area. What on earth is he thinking? What is he thinking? He said it himself, mainly to build up his hometown. To put it simply, he wants our lives to be better. Good heavens, my eyes are instantly red. This child made money outside and immediately thought of us. Who says otherwise, honestly? I do not understand his greenhouse cultivation or anything, but it definitely won't make big money. Yet he is still willing to invest so much, truly just for us. That is right. With this 100 million yuan invested, we will all have jobs, plus the factory, and he is even helping to repair the roads. Our good days are truly coming. Wait a minute. What I am curious about now is how Xiao Feng, this child, has so much money that he can just casually take out 100 million yuan. He earned it outside, and it must be through legitimate channels. Otherwise, he would not be so publicly bringing it back to develop his hometown. Ultimately, he is just capable, made a lot of money, and wants to give us villagers a hand. Oh my. What kind of fate does Xiao Jiangguo have to have such a successful son? Who says otherwise, Xiao Jiangguo truly has a good fate. It is not just Xiao Jiangguo's good fate, it is mainly Xiao Feng's capability. Now, Xiao Feng has truly become the hope of our entire village. By the way, everyone, while we are chatting, Xiao Feng is someone we have watched grow up since childhood. Now that he has invested 100 million yuan for the development of our hometown, we also need to do our best. Regarding the contracting of these 3,000 mu, everyone should tally up their land to ensure the upcoming work proceeds as smoothly as possible and not cause any delays. Just as everyone was discussing, Xiao Feng happened to walk over. He had already finished communicating with He Shuheng earlier, and He Shuheng had also taken the leaders back, preparing to hold a meeting to discuss how to implement things faster and better. As for Xiao Feng, after communicating with the leaders, it was also time to consider the next step. Uncles and aunties, great-uncles and great-aunties, may I have a word? Xiao Feng intentionally used a question, also showing respect to everyone as he was interrupting the group. The villagers immediately became very quiet, but the excitement on their faces could not be hidden. They all looked at Xiao Feng with anticipation. Afterward, Xiao Feng also spoke about the various benefits and treatments based on his own ideas. First, whether it is our village or nearby villages, for any land I contract, I will pay 700 yuan per mu per year. If your family has 5 mu, then you do not have to do anything for a year just by renting this land to me. You can receive 3,500 yuan annually. This applies not only to our village, but also to several neighboring villages. All the money will be distributed uniformly each year. You do not need to sign a contract with me. Everything will be handled by the town government for this transfer. Secondly, everyone who is currently idle at home or working elsewhere. As long as they want to work here, I will hire them all. Even if they are disabled or slightly older, as long as they can work, I will provide corresponding wages, and other standard benefits will be no less. Finally, regarding wages, I will divide them into multiple work areas, and the wages for different areas will vary. Let us start with the lowest. The lowest involves only planting vegetables in greenhouses, responsible for daily pesticide application, fertilization, watering, harvesting, and so on. This type of work is both easy and not difficult. I can offer a monthly salary of 3,000 yuan. And if you work in the cold storage or agricultural product processing factory, I can offer a monthly salary of 4,000 yuan. Lastly, for transportation and construction-related work, I can offer a monthly salary of 5,000 yuan. These are all basic wages, not including additional benefits. Once everything is built and fully operational, I will also take 50% of the annual profits specifically for hometown construction and distributing benefits to everyone. After Xiaofeng finished announcing the benefits, the villagers applauded enthusiastically. Each of Xiaofeng's benefits was higher than what was offered elsewhere. Firstly, for contracting land, the current national price per mu ranges from 150 to 500 yuan, but Xiaofeng directly offered everyone 700 yuan. This was indeed considered the highest current price. Most families, a household, typically had about 5 mu of land. In previous years, planting 2 seasons a year, working tirelessly, the total harvest from these 5 mu might not even earn 5,000 yuan. But now, without doing anything, they could receive 3,500 yuan. Who would still farm? After all, there was still time cost and labor cost involved. Now, they could receive 3,500 yuan without any effort. As for wages, there was even less to say, because even if they went out to work, working tirelessly on a construction site for a month would only yield about 3,000 yuan, and they would have to leave their hometowns. And if they went to screw bolts in a factory in a big city, a month might only be 2,000 yuan, or a bit more, 2,500, working 12 hours a day. But now, Xiaofeng immediately provided hundreds of jobs to the villagers, with a minimum wage of 3,000 yuan. One should know that working in a big city, even working tirelessly, would at most earn 3,000 yuan. Now, they only needed to stay in Xintian village and could steadily earn 3,000 yuan a month. If they entered Xiaofeng's own factory, they could even earn 4,000 yuan and only work 8 hours a day. After Xiaofeng finished explaining all these benefits, the villagers were all overjoyed. Previously, it was said that working outside for a month would only yield 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, and if staying in their hometown, a normal month would only bring in 1,500 yuan. But now what Xiaofeng offered was essentially double the salary. With such high wages, Xiaofeng's profits would indeed be less, but there would still be profits to be made, and quite a lot of money at that. Moreover, Xiaofeng always remembered how kind the villagers were to him when he was a child. Even if he did not grow up eating from 100 families, no matter whose house he visited, they were never stingy and would always give Xiaofeng a little something good to eat. Furthermore, when Xiaofeng got into university back then, the entire village genuinely rejoiced for him. Now, Xiaofeng could both have everyone help him make money and also repay everyone. A win-win situation, beneficial to oneself and beneficial to the people. Just like that, the villagers were full of enthusiasm and all work progressed very smoothly. The government side was also the same, indeed giving the green light all the way. Work groups, construction teams, and agricultural product experts all entered the site. He Shuheng also personally visited the site every day. After a while, he became increasingly familiar with Xiaofeng. They were almost becoming friends. Everything was accelerating in a positive direction. September 25th. In the blink of an eye, Xiaofeng had already been home for 5 days. During these 5 days, Xintian village underwent earth-shattering changes. The villagers' thousands of acres of farmland were almost entirely uniformly planned, with the entire village and all groups transferred, along with hierarchical approvals and multiple agricultural contingency plans. Everything was accelerated. Take the approval process, for example. Contracts for more than 3,000 acres needed to be reported further up, as the county could not make direct decisions. Originally, it might have been a bit troublesome, but County Chief He Shuheng personally helped Xiao Feng manage the approval process, greatly speeding things up. In short, no detours were taken, and all processes were highly efficient. After all the contracting matters were finally resolved, Xiao Feng initially signed for a total of 10 years. The GDP that could be created in these next 10 years needed no further explanation. With the 3,000 acres contracted, the next step was for the construction teams to enter. Construction plans had been prepared in advance, and a construction team with specialized greenhouse qualifications was hired. Several areas worked simultaneously, completing approximately 100 acres of greenhouse construction per day. At this rate, it would take about a month to complete everything. But this was already very fast, considering it included land integration, negotiation, and especially the construction. In a month, the greenhouses could begin full-scale planting. During this period of greenhouse construction, other areas were not idle either. The locations for the cold storage and processing plant were also finalized, and construction began concurrently. Cold storage and a processing plant were essential. After all, this was for 3,000 acres of cultivation, requiring a complete line from sorting, washing, air drying, cutting, packaging, warehousing, and finally sales and transportation. Selling to supermarkets, schools, cafeterias, and so on. With this complete industrial chain, it would truly be formalized. Additionally, there was road construction, building roads from the town all the way to Xintian village, including installing streetlights, all of which were part of the plan. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the entire Xintian village would be completely transformed in a month. Xiao Feng was truly, by virtue of his own investment, slowly making the once small village prosperous. Not only Xintian village, but also several nearby villages, and even the entire Ninghe town, would gradually become wealthy. After all, with such an industrial chain in place, it would be difficult not to become rich. Meanwhile, another matter was also underway. The renovation of Xiao Feng's old family home. It would be transformed from a standard rural tiled house into a 2.5-story luxury villa. This might take a bit longer from construction to completion of decoration. It would probably take at least 3 months. But there was no rush. His father Xiao Jiangguo had a place to stay anyway, and where he would stay went without saying. And so, by September 27th, Xiao Feng had been back for exactly 1 week. During this week, everything was meticulously arranged. The next step was full-speed construction, with dedicated personnel overseeing it. For the greenhouses and factory, a special person from the county was helping to monitor, ensuring deadlines were met and quality maintained. As for the homestead, a dedicated construction team leader was responsible for communicating with Xiao Feng at all times. After everything was arranged, Xiao Feng was ready to depart for Zhengzhen City today. It had already been a week. As he was leaving, He Shuheng personally came to see Xiao Feng off, expressing his sincere gratitude once again, and the two had a friendly conversation. Given He Shuheng's status, his personal send-off for Xiao Feng brought immense prestige to his father Xiao Jinguo in the village. His son truly had great capabilities. Of course, it was mainly because over the past week, Xiao Feng and He Shuheng had become something like half friends. Even though they held different statuses, both could achieve and help each other. After Xiao Feng learned about He Shuheng's father's identity, he clearly understood that he should seize this relationship well, as it would be of great use in the future. Similarly, He Shuheng also felt that Xiao Feng, being so young, would surely accomplish great things in the future, and the two held a mutual admiration. Xiao Feng, I wish you a smooth journey. If there are any developments here, I will keep an eye on them for you. Call me anytime if you need anything, He Shuheng said. At this moment, He Shuheng and Xiao Feng were also considered half-friends, no longer addressing each other as Mr. Xiao, but by their first names. For someone of his status to address Xiao Feng by his first name was actually a sign of a good relationship. Similarly, Xiao Feng no longer called him secretary. All right, Hengji, then I will head off. I still have matters at the company, but I should be back frequently later on. Maybe once every half a month. No problem. Next time you come back, I must treat you to a meal personally, He Shuheng said with a smile. I will treat you. Xiao Feng also smiled and said, Hengji, you have helped me solve so many troubles this past week, and there will be many more instances where I will need your help in the future, so I must treat you. SK. He Shuheng symbolically clicked his tongue. Do not decline anymore. I am older than you, so I should be the one to treat. Moreover, your investment has been a tremendous help to the development of our county. So next time, no matter what, I must treat you. But, at this point, He Shuheng's tone carried a hint of jest, but the meal might not be too fancy, a 200 yuan standard. Given his status, personally spending 200 yuan to treat Xiaofeng to a meal already showed great sincerity. After all, He Shuheng was a pragmatic person, truly upright and incorruptible. He usually would not even spend 100 yuan to eat out, always dining in the cafeteria. Xiaofeng no longer demurred and readily agreed. Ha ha ha. All right, Hengji. I will be looking forward to your 200 yuan grand meal then. And just like that, Xiaofeng and He Shuheng reached an agreement. Next time, He Shuheng would treat him to a meal. What Xiaofeng cared about was not the 200 yuan for the meal, but the relationship itself. Similarly, if Xiaofeng accepted this meal, he would have a reason to treat He Shuheng back next time. As long as it did not exceed the standards and remained within a reasonable scope, this back and forth would gradually bring them closer. The reason Xiaofeng was so determined to establish this relationship was that it would be very beneficial for the future, putting aside everything else. In his memory, He Shuheng, a decade and a half later, at the age of 47, had become the third highest ranking figure in the province. Given his status then, everyone would address him by his official title. As for He Shuheng's father, there was even less need to say. The reason He Shuheng was currently in Baiyun County was undoubtedly for experience, and no one knew his father's identity. Under the current circumstances, it was also the easiest time to become friends. Meanwhile, after Xiaofeng left, everyone continued to work diligently, speeding up the progress. From ordinary villagers to the village party secretary, then to the town mayor, and finally to He Shuheng. Everyone was doing their utmost. As for Xiaofeng, he was already on his way back to Jiangzhen City. He had not been back for a week, so it was time to check his Bitcoin and start making new plans. Jiangzhen City. Xiaofeng departed at 11 a.m. and returned to Jiangzhen City at 3 p.m. After dropping Li Jinian off at the hospital, he then went to the company. Li Jinian's current illness was almost fully recovered. Now, she only needed to go once a week for simple treatment and follow-up checkups. Most likely, in another month, she might not even need to go to the hospital anymore. Polaris Company. Today was Monday, and everyone in the company was present, bustling with activity. During Xiaofeng's absence, everyone followed their routines and performed their duties. Big Tiger's team had secured several more highly cost-effective ground-floor commercial spaces, just waiting for Xiaofeng to return and sign the contracts. Second Tiger's team had also acquired a good number of bitcoins over the past week. Their 20 mining machines operated continuously with high efficiency, and counting those acquired, they had accumulated another 11,685 coins. As for the overseas team, they gave Xiaofeng another pleasant surprise, having received another 33,221 coins over the past week. All these bitcoins were transferred to Xiaofeng's account. Current account balance, 465,221 coins, getting closer to 500,000 coins. The current Bitcoin price had risen to 12 yuan per coin domestically, and approximately $2 internationally. Taking China as an example, since Xiaofeng consistently offered a higher recycling price than others, the current recycling price per coin was almost 15 yuan. The current price of Bitcoin had tripled compared to what he remembered. Because, as he recalled, in 2010, the highest annual price for Bitcoin was only 3.5 yuan, and it only began to climb rapidly the following year. But now, it was only the end of September 2010, and the average price had already reached 12 yuan per coin. Xiaofeng was also constantly accelerating the market's original rate of increase. Subsequently, Xiaofeng also held a meeting regarding his investments in his hometown. Later, a branch company specializing in planting would be established in his hometown, and he announced that the company would begin expanding its workforce and officially recruiting externally. However, the recruitment conditions were somewhat strict. Every candidate needed to be personally interviewed by Xiaofeng. The reason for the increasingly strict recruitment was that Polaris was, after all, the parent company. Although its current scale was not large, its future business would definitely expand, and it was necessary to start recruiting professional talents. These talents needed to be elites from various industries or have specialized qualifications. Previously, it did not matter because the work difficulty was low. For example, collecting and mining Bitcoin, these tasks could be learned in just an hour or two of training, or even without training. And collecting houses, which basically did not require education or professional skills, were all errand-based tasks. But afterward, Polaris would formalize everything, requiring various different departments, and each department would need a top talent in the industry to serve as a pillar. For example, in accounting. Although Momo and Han Shueki had obtained accounting certificates, they still needed to hire a gold standard accountant for actual operations. Moreover, the two of them would not be able to handle it. The number of accounts would increase, making it very tiring to process. Therefore, in the future, accounting alone would be separated into its own department. In short, everything was becoming standardized, departmentalized, and clearly divided in labor. Following Xiao Feng's recruitment announcement, the most excited were the 3 members of the overseas team. The 3 of them already had high academic qualifications and had studied abroad, making them undeniable talents in 2010. And in their circles, there were naturally many excellent talents who had not yet found their ideal jobs. For a time, the overseas trio enthusiastically recommended candidates to Xiao Feng. Xiao Feng did not accept everyone automatically, but requested that times be arranged, as he wanted to personally interview each candidate. With the benefits and salaries Xiao Feng offered, it was normal for the requirements to be a bit high. As for those who joined Polaris earlier, such as Fang Zhang and his group, they were now considered old employees. Although most of them lacked academic qualifications, they had joined early. It was precisely because they joined early that they did not need to compete on academic qualifications or abilities to join Polaris. And if they had missed that period, if Fang Zhang and his group wanted to join Polaris now, it would probably be harder than climbing to heaven. Therefore, even a good job requires a bit of luck. Okay, mister. Xiao, rest assured, I will contact my classmates tonight and have them come for interviews. Me too, and I have already told them about our company's benefits. They have always wanted to come, but you previously said we were not recruiting externally, so they have been waiting. I also have a group of classmates, all returned from studying abroad. They majored in different fields and are proficient in various industries. For a moment, the 3 members of the overseas team enthusiastically made recommendations, because they genuinely dared to recommend, and had the confidence knowing their classmates were quite capable. As for Fang Zhang and Big Tiger, they naturally would not recommend people they knew, because they knew better than anyone that it was pure luck they had this job. As for the group of shady friends around them, if it were based on ability, it would be impossible for them to get in now. Mister Xiao, what about online candidates? Han Shueki raised her hand and asked. Ever since payday last time, I created a K's short video account and frequently share our company's benefits. Many netizens online are very envious. And there are quite a few high-achieving students among them who often ask in the comments section if the company is hiring. I think they should also be allowed to apply. Han Shueki was still very ambitious. Not only did she work diligently every day, but she also created a short video account and shared content daily. Moreover, she often mentioned Xiao Feng, her boss, constantly praising him and saying how good he was. As a result, Xiao Feng had unknowingly even started accumulating a small number of followers online. Of course, Xiao Feng readily agreed. You filter them first. Academic qualifications are not the most important. What is important is that they must be talented, especially those with a unique skill. As long as they pass the interview, no matter the field, I can offer a minimum monthly base salary of 15,000 yuan. 15,000 yuan at that time was absolutely a high salary among high salaries. Thus, the company began extensively recruiting talents, gradually moving towards standardization and growing stronger. As for Fang Zhang and his group, their main responsibility would still be collecting Bitcoin. Just the domestic Bitcoin recycling project alone would keep them busy for a while longer. And Big Tiger and his group would continue to be responsible for acquiring ground-floor commercial spaces. Xiao Feng once again set a new target to acquire 50 such spaces. As of now, Xiao Feng had a total of 15 ground-floor commercial spaces under his ownership. But that was far from enough. Forget a target of 50 if possible. 100 was not impossible, or even an entire street. In short, there would always be something for them to do. After Xiaofeng finished the meeting, it was exactly 5 p.m., and everyone started to leave work in succession. Ring. Ring. Just then, the phone rang again. Undoubtedly, it was Yan Wenshan calling naturally to invite Xiaofeng to dinner at the Lingyun Grand Hotel. The two still agreed to meet at 7 p.m. However, just as he hung up, another call came in. This time, it was Wang Wei calling. Wang Wei's tone and state at this moment were very much like Manager Lei's before, equally excited. "Hello, Mr. Xiao. Our flash delivery to home has completed its first phase of deployment and has now captured the entire Longtian district market. Our next step can be to start considering entering the market of the entire Jiangzhen city." Wang Wei's ability was quite remarkable. Under his leadership, they indeed saw good results in just 1 month. Of course, the main reason was the money poured into it. Xiaofeng's promotion plan was simply unbeatable. In the current situation, it was a complete dimensionality reduction attack on competitors. As for this flash delivery project, Xiaofeng held a 90% stake, aiming to make it big and strong, the kind that would dominate the market in the future. Well done. Next, I will put in another 20 million. This time, the target is the entire Jiangzhen city. No problem, Mr. Xiao guaranteed completion. The Flash Delivery Home app is now on the right track, having covered the entire Longtian district market, although its scale is not yet large. The overall framework is mature. After this, all that is needed is to invest money to continuously expand and strengthen it. Xiaofeng, as agreed upon before, began to target Jiangzhen City as the next objective after conquering the Longtian district market. The goal is to invest 20 million yuan. Wang Wei confidently patted his chest, guaranteeing to secure the entire Jiangzhen city market within 2 months. Similarly, Xiaofeng also made a new promise. As long as they could capture the Jiangzhen city market, 1 million yuan would be allocated specifically as a bonus for the team. This was an incentive bonus, designed to give everyone more motivation. Of course, even without this bonus, the Flash Delivery team was very motivated, even proactively working overtime every day. Especially Wang Wei, who was essentially the earliest founder making this app bigger and stronger, was also his dream. It was precisely for this reason that Xiaofeng entrusted everything to him with such confidence, only needing to provide the funding himself. Once the layout is fully completed in the future, even if it only occupies the provincial market, this flash delivery app could be worth nearly billions. And if it could meet expectations, becoming the top leader, dominating the entire country, its market value would grow geometrically, potentially reaching hundreds of billions or even trillions. In short, every step Xiaofeng currently takes, every investment he makes, is continuously accumulating wealth for his future. Of course, it is not just about accumulating wealth, but also networking. Just like He Shuheng. Lingyun Grand Hotel. Yan Wenshan had already booked a room in advance. After booking a room in such a 5-star hotel, there would always be a dedicated private room butler responsible for the entire service. After all, each private room's single consumption ranges from a few thousand to even hundreds of thousands. So naturally, they all have dedicated butlers. They could also be called senior private room attendants. At this moment, Shen Yao, who was at the hotel after learning that Xiaofeng would be arriving soon, proactively applied to become the exclusive butler for this private room this time, serving it throughout. In fact, Shen Yao's current job was only responsible for delivering wine or dishes, and each time she only delivered them to outside the private room, then handed them over to the private room butler. Because the service jobs were different and the salaries were also different, the dedicated butler for a room received an additional 300 yuan commission for each room served. As for ordinary waitresses like Shen Yao, they usually earned a fixed salary. It was not that Shen Yao did not want to be a private room butler, but her capabilities were not sufficient. Private room butlers were often professionals and needed to be proficient in English. It was not a job just anyone could do. But at this moment, Shen Yao insisted that she and Xiaofeng were good friends and proactively applied to serve this private room. And when the hotel manager heard that the two were friends, he naturally agreed immediately. Just like that, Shen Yao became the service butler for today's private room. As 7 of the clock arrived, Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan arrived at the hotel almost simultaneously, bumping into each other at the entrance. Little brother Xiaofeng, it is settled. I am treating today, you can't fight me for it. No, old brother Yan, you have treated twice in a row. No matter what, I must treat today, or else I'm turning around and leaving right now. Oh, you... All right? All right. Then you can treat. Just then, Shen Yao also walked over proactively. Xiaofeng, long time no see. Today I am the exclusive butler for your private room, and I will be serving you. Shen Yao offered a fawning smile and explained that she was today's private room butler. Xiaofeng furrowed his brow slightly, roughly guessing the reason in his heart. Xiaofeng could not help but sigh inwardly, even feeling a bit self-deprecating. It was truly laughable. In his previous life, he spent 380,000 yuan on a bride price. And Shen Yao was never as attentive as she was now, nor had she ever truly served him. Since Shen Yao insisted on coming over, Xiaofeng naturally was not afraid. He wanted to see what tricks she was up to. Upon entering the private room, Xiaofeng was equally generous, directly ordering the Romanée Conti that Yan Wenshan always ordered. The current selling price was 108,888 yuan per bottle. No big deal. This wine had to be drunk, and if nothing unexpected happened, he would not just order one bottle tomorrow either. As for other dishes, Xiaofeng ordered them based on Yan Wenshan's previous tastes and preferences. This entire meal had already reached 113,000 yuan, mainly due to the expensive wine. After all, Xiaofeng had finally snatched the chance to treat, so he would definitely not be stingy. Moreover, Yan Wenshan had given Xiaofeng an additional 200 million yuan in total. And Shen Yao also began a series of services according to the butler's procedures. For example, serving dishes, helping open wine, and decanting wine with a decanter. While serving, Shen Yao always tried to seize the opportunity to get closer to Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, what have you been busy with lately? You have not been here for a week. At this moment, Xiaofeng was chatting with Yan Wenshan, but Shen Yao inappropriately initiated conversation. Xiaofeng was the type to be emotionally stable, calm, and composed, so he definitely would not just blurt out, "Get out." Moreover, Shen Yao still consistently believed that Xiaofeng considered her a friend. Once you're done, you can just go out. We still have things to discuss, and we will call you if we need anything. Xiaofeng did not deliberately show a cold shoulder, but he also did not give Shen Yao any face, simply telling her to leave after finishing her tasks. Oh, a trace of disappointment flashed in Shen Yao's eye. Okay, then I will be by the door. Call me anytime you need anything. After Shen Yao left, Yan Wenshan became mysterious, curious, and gossipy. Little brother Xiaofeng, are you very familiar with this girl? Irrelevant. Xiaofeng's single word, irrelevant, immediately made Yan Wenshan even more curious. Well, I saw this girl constantly trying to get close to you, and even calling you Xiaofeng directly. I thought you two were friends. Sigh. Xiaofeng also smiled helplessly irrelevant. Then I understand. Yan Wenshan immediately realized, I have seen many girls like this. They are sycophantic, definitely status-obsessed. It is nothing more than seeing you have money. Of course, you're also handsome enough. Definitely the tall, rich, and handsome type. But her primary goal is certainly after money. However, little brother Xiaofeng, I must warn you, the more they are like this, the more cautious you need to be. It is not to say that all such girls are bad people, but there are indeed those who are ruthless, will cheat you out of all your assets, and might even land you in jail. I almost suffered losses when I was young, so you must be careful and absolutely not be misled by her few words. And, based on my many years of experience judging people, I always feel that this girl is not someone to be trifled with. There is a hint of cunning and maliciousness hidden in her eyes. You must be wary. Yan Wenshan was always like this, repeatedly using his own experience to advise Xiaofeng, preventing him from falling into traps. It must be said that Yan Wenshan was truly a good person, definitely treating Xiaofeng like a brother, a genuine lifelong friend. And he was very accurate at judging people. He really hit the nail on the head. Facing Yan Wenshan's kind reminder, Xiaofeng also tried his best to control his emotions, nodding seriously. Of course, Xiaofeng would not be fooled again. He had even been looking for an opportunity, waiting to get his revenge at any moment. Afterward, the two ate, drank, and chatted happily as usual. Before long, the ordered bottle of Romane Conti was already empty. Another bottle. Today, they had to drink their fill. Last time, Yan Wenshen and Xiao Feng drank 3 bottles in total, and this time, it should not be less than 3 bottles, as 2 bottles were emptied. Xiao Feng did not hesitate at all, ordering another bottle. 1 bottle cost 108,888 yuan, and if 3 bottles were ordered, the wine bill alone would be over 300,000 yuan. As the exclusive butler for the room, besides serving wine and being responsible for decanting it, Shen Yao had another essential task, opening the wine. When Shen Yao heard Xiao Feng order another bottle of Romane Conti, her face showed both surprise and a hint of joy. The surprise was because Xiao Feng was truly rich, spending over 300,000 yuan on a meal. She absolutely had to reel him in. The joy was that Shen Yao, as the private room butler, received a 300 yuan commission for overseeing this room. But most importantly, the wine Xiao Feng ordered cost 100,000 yuan a bottle, and every time Shen Yao opened it for him, she received an additional corkage fee, which was included in the bill. In her hands, she would receive a 200 yuan corkage fee for each bottle opened. Xiao Feng ordered 3 bottles in total, so she could get 600 yuan just from corkage fees, plus today's private room service fee, amounting to a total of 900 yuan. It is worth noting that Shen Yao, as a waitress before, only earned 2,500 yuan a month. This was already slightly higher because of her good looks and working in a 5-star hotel. But today, she could earn 900 yuan in a single day. As a result, Shen Yao's hands were trembling with excitement. Do not underestimate earning just 900 yuan. This was earned in one day. For a moment, Shen Yao's hands indeed trembled with excitement, and she was somewhat distracted, feeling even more emotional internally. Happy. So happy. Turns out making money from rich people is so easy, even just serving them can bring in so much money effortlessly. Bang! Just then, as far as the eye could see, a bottle of Romane Conti, valued at 108,888 yuan, accidentally slipped from Shen Yao's hands and fell to the floor. That crisp and piercing sound shattered the previous joy. At that moment, Shen Yao's world collapsed. A bottle of Romane Conti, worth 108,888 yuan, was rendered worthless, shattered all over the floor. For a moment, Shen Yao truly felt like her world had collapsed. After all, this was worth 100,000 yuan. With her salary, even if she did not eat or drink for 3 years, she could not afford this bottle. What is more, this was no longer just about a bottle of red wine, it was a major service error. The guests had ordered a table full of dishes and were enjoying themselves when the red wine shattered on the floor, meaning the entire table's bill would have to be waived. Shen Yao stared at the red wine juice on the floor, her mind a complete blank. After repeatedly apologizing, she quickly ran out. First, she needed to call housekeeping to clean up, and second, she needed to find the hotel manager. This was considered a serious matter. Lingyun Hotel had multiple managers with different responsibilities, and above them was a general manager. The manager in charge of catering was named Zhao Shoucai, and he and Shen Yao were involved in a relationship. Women like Shen Yao were sycophants. She would not even let a manager off the hook, because as a waitress here, if she had a good relationship with the manager, she would naturally have an easier time. Shen Yao quickly found her lover, Zhao Shoucai, and immediately explained the situation. When Zhao Shoucai heard that Shen Yao had broken a 100,000 yuan bottle of red wine, he instinctively took a step back. This step back seemed to be a natural instinct, as if he was afraid of being associated with Shen Yao, but ultimately it was just a reflex. After fully understanding the situation, Zhao Shoucai's expression was also far from pleased. What did you do? If you had broken a bottle of beer, I, as a manager, could have directly signed off on it for you, and you would not have to pay a single cent. But out of all the things you could have broken, you just had to break the most expensive bottle of red wine. You have put me in a sigh. Zhao Shoucai seemed to be worried for Shen Yao, but he was only spouting useless nonsense. I was too excited at the time. I was only thinking about making 900 yuan tonight. And then my hand shook, and it dropped. So, now that it has happened, what should we do, Shen? Yao asked anxiously. Not we, but you, what should you do? Zhao Shouce deliberately emphasized, then put on a troubled expression. What else can be done? According to hotel rules, if a server makes a mistake that leads to a customer's bill being waived or directly causes any loss, they must compensate at the full price. Although I am the manager, your situation is too big. Even if I wanted to help you, I could not. You will have to pay for it yourself. Huh. Shen Yao felt as if she had been struck by lightning after hearing this. Where would I get that much money? Besides, I only earn a total of 900 yuan for monitoring this private room, including the corkage fee. Why should I bear such a huge risk and responsibility? Moreover, let us step back for a moment. Do not. The guests have any responsibility. If the guests had not ordered this bottle of wine, I would not have broken it. Zhao Shouce was suddenly startled and looked at Shen Yao with some surprise, realizing that this woman was a bit foolish. What kind of outrageous statement is that? If it were not for your looks, I would not want to say another word to you right now. Zhao Shouce continued to put on a troubled expression. Whatever you say is useless. These are hotel rules, and I really can't help you. Anyway, you are definitely paying for this 100,000 yuan. Unless the guest, out of kindness, feels that you, the server, have it tough and voluntarily pays the bill for you. Then, of course, you would not have to compensate. After all, things like this have indeed happened in our hotel. Last time, a server broke a guest's wine, and that male guest, who was not short on money, voluntarily paid the bill. So the server did not have to compensate. However, although that male guest paid the bill, that server went upstairs with the male guest that same night, if you catch my drift. In that case, the wine indeed did not need to be compensated for, but a different kind of accompaniment was required. Not having to compensate does not mean not having to accompany. Oh, right. That was a male server. Going upstairs with a male guest, you can imagine how much suffering there was. Later, I heard it even cured his constipation. So there is no such thing as a free lunch, unless the guest is interested in you, or you know the guest. When Shen Yao heard Zhao Shoucai's words, her initially flustered expression instead seemed to show a glimmer of hope. And this glimmer of hope even made her a tiny bit excited. At company, such a good thing exists. I was just wondering how to win him over. If he really sleeps with me, I will record it beforehand, pretend to play hard to get, act a bit reserved, say a few unwilling words. And if he does not agree to be with me, I can even accuse him of rape. Shen Yao suddenly felt like the clouds had parted, and her thought process immediately became clear, no longer a blank as it had been moments ago. So, according to what you just said, guests can pay for servers. Well, if that is the case, then things will be easy. Not only do I know this guest, but we are also friends. I do not think he would be willing to make me pay. Also, he is really rich. Last time, when I overheard them talking, they were casually discussing things worth hundreds of millions. Shen Yao's thoughts were clear, and her speaking became notably more confident all of a sudden. Zhao Shouce sized up Shen Yao, are you? Sure, you can be friends with a guest who drinks 100,000 yuan bottles of red wine. Of course, Shen Yao said, fiddling with her hair and posturing seductively. We had such a good chat last time, and I feel like he is somewhat interested in me, but he wants to play hard to get, acting deep and aloof. Zhao Shouce did not know how to respond for a moment. If it is really as you say, then this matter will indeed be easy to handle. If you two are truly friends, you say some nice words, play the victim a little, and if he is not short on money and truly considers you a friend, he will definitely pay for this bottle of wine, and naturally you won't have to compensate. But, at this point, Zhao Shoucai looked at Shen Yao with a hint of playful mockery. But, you might have to accompany him in a different way. So what? Then I will accompany him. Shen Yao, instead, felt a hint of excitement. Damn, Zhao Shoucai, accustomed to such things, retorted. Did not you say you always loved me? You actually believe what is said in bed. This kind of conversation was simply their daily routine, because both of them knew very well that they were just playing around. Using each other, one could help solve some work-related problems at the hotel, and the other could satisfy their physiological needs. All right, Zhao Shotze quickly thought it over. Then it is settled. You will come in with me in a bit. First, apologize. After apologizing, I will pretend to make you pay and I will also loudly state that you need to compensate at full price, intentionally letting the guest hear it. Then you will pretend to cry, pretend to be miserable, and we will put on a show. If the guest truly considers you a friend or is interested in you, he will definitely understand, right? The two immediately hit it off. Private room 211. At this moment, the cleaning lady had already cleaned the red wine from the private room floor. Zhao Shotze entered, pushing the door open with Shen Yao. Two bosses, I am truly sorry. This server was flustered and affected your mood. As the hotel manager, I sincerely apologize to you. I am sorry. I am sorry my hand slipped by accident. I am truly sorry. Shen Yao also feigned a pitiful appearance. Immediately, Zhao Shotze also changed his tone, raising his voice considerably with a stern expression. What good is saying? Sorry. Do you know how much this bottle of wine costs? 108,888 yuan, and you just broke it. I'm telling you, according to hotel rules, you need to compensate at the full price. These are the rules, and I can't do anything about it. I am not scolding you, but you only earn 2,500 yuan a month. This is enough for you not to eat or drink for 3 years. How could you be so careless? Do not leave after work later. You will have to sign a separate compensation contract with the company. If you do not pay, you will be sued. And do not even think about running away. If you run, we can directly have you sent in. In any case, you are definitely paying this 100,000 yuan. As soon as Zhao Shotze finished speaking, he quickly gave Shen Yao a look. It was her turn to perform. Shen Yao immediately understood and burst into tears. What? 100,000 yuan? How can I pay that? I can't afford it at all. My monthly salary is only 2,500, and I can't really not eat or drink for 3 years. If I really have to pay for this bottle of wine, it would take me 5 years to pay off this debt. And I have a sick mother, a gambler father, and a younger brother who needs my financial support for college. My family relies entirely on me. I can't be without an income. Shen Yao's act of playing the victim with a sick mother and a gambler father sounded like a standardized line from a foot massage parlor. Facing Shen Yao's nonsense, Xiao Feng's mind was as clear as a mirror. Shen Yao's parents were not only healthy and without misfortune, but they were also the type to be unreasonable and arrogant, equally snobbish, and very fond of petty gains. As for Shen Yao's younger brother, he was indeed in college, and Shen Yao was also a typical brother worshipper, someone who overly favors their male siblings, often at their own or their spouse's expense. In her previous life, she even secretly used the 300,000 yuan Xiao Feng had painstakingly saved to pay for her brother's house down payment. Just thinking about her brother made Xiao Feng furious. Do not let me get my hands on that guy. Meanwhile, after feigning misery, Shen Yao's tears streamed down her face. Zhao Shotze also took the opportunity to say, "It is useless to tell me. My monthly salary is only 3,000, and I can't help you either. You will have to tell the guest." Zhao Shotze seemed to say it casually, but all the previous setup was for this very sentence. As soon as these words came out, Yan Wenshan, who had been watching the show, immediately became displeased and was about to speak. What kind of manager talks like that? Xiao Feng immediately gave Yan Wenshan a look, signaling him not to rush and to continue watching the show. Immediately, Shen Yao also looked over with a pitiful expression. Xiao Feng, you must have heard my situation just now. Although I broke this wine, I really can't afford to pay for it. My monthly salary is only 2,500 yuan, but you probably earn millions a month. Right, we are friends, so would you mind helping me out? For me, it would take 3 years to earn that. But for you, 100,000 yuan might just be a matter of 1 day. Not that long. After Shen Yao finished speaking, Zhao Shotze immediately seized the opportunity. Oh, so you two are friends. Zhao Shotze first feigned surprise, then, following their pre-arranged plan, put on an eager smile. Sir, she says you and she are friends, is that so? Irrelevant. Xiao Feng's single phrase, "It is none of my business," nearly crashed Shen Yao and Zhao Shoutei's mental circuits. Originally, the two had been performing a duet, one pretending to criticize, the other playing the victim, all to get Xiao Feng to willingly pay the bill. Especially Shen Yao, who deliberately used the guise of friendship, wanting to leverage this relationship to make Xiao Feng embarrassed to refuse. But now, everything was so sudden. Xiao Feng directly uttered it, "is none of my business," which was completely unexpected. Shen Yao was immediately stunned. None of your business. Are not we friends? Even if he did not want to pay for this 100,000 yuan, he should not have said it is none of my business, right? Does not he like me? What exactly went wrong? Could it be? Suddenly Shen Yao seemed to understand something, immediately guessing Xiao Feng's intentions and muttering to herself inwardly. He must be deliberately trying to make things difficult for me first, making me beg him, and then wanting to take advantage of the situation, using this to propose conditions, like wanting to sleep with me. That is right. If he generously offered to pay for me right away without making me compensate, then it would be hard for him to propose conditions. After all this time, it turns out, he just wants to take advantage of the situation and set terms. I get it. As long as I act a little more pitifully, beg him, and give him a chance to make a request, everything will be settled. For a moment, Shen Yao's internal monologue was incredibly rich. Relying on her understanding of men, she believed she had already figured out Xiao Feng's thoughts. Shen Yao still feigned a pitiful and charming look. Xiao Feng, none of your business. Why would you say that? Are not we friends? We had such a great chat last time. I always thought we were friends, and besides, as I just said, my financial situation is not good. If I really have to pay for this 100,000 yuan, it would take me 5 years. But you are different. You can earn that in a single day. So Xiao Feng, just consider it good karma. And for friendship's sake, please help me. As long as you are willing to help me, I will do anything you want, no matter what it is, even. Even if it is, Shen Yao did not finish her sentence at the end. She deliberately left it unsaid, just shyly lowering her head, but the meaning was already very clear. Even if it is, sleeping. And Shen Yao had also implied that as long as Xiao Feng was willing to pay her bill, she would go upstairs with him. With such an obvious hint, if Xiao Feng truly wanted her, he would definitely pay the bill directly. However, Xiao Feng still showed no regard whatsoever. Friends who are friends with you. Besides, even if we were friends, why should I pay for a mistake you made? Furthermore, I will reiterate one last time, you and I are unrelated. Xiao Feng was decisive and showed no mercy. There was no way Xiao Feng would pay for this money for her. If it had been anyone else, another server who broke this bottle of wine, then according to Xiao Feng's way of handling things, he naturally would not make it difficult for the server. And he would certainly pay for that bill. After all, Xiao Feng was once a person from the bottom rungs of society and knew how difficult life was for ordinary people, but Shen Yao was different. How Shen Yao treated him in his previous life, those scenes repeatedly stung Xiao Feng. Especially that last sentence, what does that have to do with me? That sentence. Even now, Xiao Feng still could not let it go. She even gave the 300,000 yuan life-saving money to her younger brother to buy a house. After Xiao Feng fell critically ill, the first thing Shen Yao thought of was divorce, making Xiao Feng leave with nothing to avoid spending money on his treatment. All of this, Xiao Feng hated more and more the more he thought about it. After Xiao Feng once again clearly expressed his stance, Shen Yao was now completely flustered. She had already realized that Xiao Feng genuinely would not pay for her, and did not consider her a friend at all. But Shen Yao was still unwilling to give up, especially since she truly could not afford to pay this 100,000 yuan. And she could not pay it. If it really did not work, then she would just rip off the facade and act shamelessly. However, resorting to tearing off the facade and acting shamelessly was something one would only do when there was truly no other option. Unless absolutely necessary, Shen Yao would not dare to do that. As a result, Shen Yao still looked pitifully, making her final struggle and performance. All right, Xiao Feng, even if you do not consider me a friend, but please just help me. Okay, it is not easy for a server like me. I already told you, I only make 2,500 yuan a month. If I really have to pay for this wine, when would I ever finish paying it off? And I also told you about my family situation, a sick mother, a gambler father, and a younger brother whom I need to support through university. And you are already so rich, you do not lack this bit of money. Just take pity on me and help me, otherwise, I will truly be at my wit's end. Just when everyone thought Xiaofeng would most likely soften. What does that have to do with me? In that brief moment, Xiaofeng finally spoke the words he had been holding back. A single, "What does that have to do with me?" was the best response. For a moment, the bullet Shen Yao fired in his previous life seemed to strike her right between the eyebrows. At once, nothing more needed to be said. Xiaofeng's expression could not have been clearer. It is none of my business. What does that have to do with me? This also made Shen Yao completely give up, abandoning her last illusion. Similarly, Yan Wenshan had long been unable to hold back. Damn it. Yan Wenshan first pointed at manager Zhao Shoucai and cursed. You call yourself a manager. What kind of manager are you? Is that how you handle things? Or are you two putting on a show here? And you understand what my brother said. You broke the red wine yourself, so of course you will pay for it. Although my brother is rich, as he said, why should he pay for a mistake you made? What even are you? While I'm still in a good mood, both of you get out of here. Do not disturb us drinking. Yan Wenshan was also full of anger at this moment, giving the two a thorough scolding. When Shen Yao completely realized there was no longer any possibility, she panicked entirely. This was 100,000 yuan. She could not pay. Absolutely could not pay. Once it was finalized, she would have to pay off debts for several years to come. But now, there was still a chance. However, this chance was no longer about feigning pity, but rather, Shen Yao stopped pretending altogether. The pitiful and charming expression on her face instantly vanished. The style completely changed. You two clearly broke it yourselves. Why should I, a server, pay for it? You are being unreasonable, are not you? Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan exchanged glances. Holy cow! There is also this ridiculous move. Shen Yao continued. When I just brought the red wine in, I placed it on the table and had already opened the bottle, completing the service according to procedure. But as soon as I reached the door, you two accidentally broke the red wine yourselves, then blamed it on me and made me pay. I won't accept this. Undoubtedly, Shen Yao completely stopped pretending and directly began to act shamelessly. Anyway, there were no cameras in the private room. For something like this, if one really wanted to act shamelessly, it would indeed be difficult to explain clearly for a while. Meanwhile, manager Zhao Shoucai, who was standing by, naturally understood what Shen Yao meant in an instant. He also knew that Shen Yao was now acting shamelessly. After all, Shen Yao was Zhao Shoucai's lover, and if he could really pin this incident on someone else, he could use it to manipulate Shen Yao at will in the future. He could continue to sleep with her for free. After Zhao Shoucai calculated in his mind, he felt he had to help Shen Yao. Not truly helping Shen Yao, but rather so he would have leverage in the future for free sexual favors and continuous manipulation. As a result, Zhao Shoucai also chimed in using Shen Yao's words. Oh, so you two guests broke this wine yourselves. Then, according to hotel regulations, you two will be responsible for settling the bill for this wine. No one else can change that. The situation changed very suddenly, catching Yan Wenshan off guard. Yan Wenshan immediately became completely furious. All right, you two. You do not even bother to pretend anymore. Playing dirty tricks with me, huh? You would better consider the consequences. Yan Wenshan was usually polite, but if he was truly provoked, a person with a net worth of over 1 billion yuan had plenty of ways to deal with things. However, Shen Yao still pretended to be innocent, and even gave hints in her words. How am I playing dirty? This wine was clearly broken by the two of you. Besides, there are no cameras in this private room, so why say I broke it? Do you have any evidence? Shen Yao's rhetorical question also served as a reminder to Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan that there was no evidence. Zhao Shoucai, standing by, continued to echo. That is right. There are no cameras in the private room. You can't falsely accuse our server. If you ask me, both of you are not short on money, and it is not worth playing dirty over 100,000 yuan. Just settle the bill. Smooth. The two of them, in their back and forth, seemed to have completely reversed the situation. They even turned white into black, implying that Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan were the ones playing dirty. Actually, under normal circumstances, Shen Yao would never dare to provoke Xiaofeng and Yan Wenshan, but this was not a normal situation. After all, this involved 100,000 yuan in compensation. Offending them was just offending them. If they could get out of paying the 100,000 yuan, it would be worth even taking a beating. Moreover, as both of them emphasized, there were no cameras in the private room. Such a matter would be impossible for anyone to clarify unless there was a prior recording. Facing the duo's coordinated performance, Yan Wenshan, though very angry, still calmed himself down. He then pulled out his phone and made a call. "Hello, old Yang. I am in your hotel's private room 211. Hurry over. I will buy you a drink." "All right, coming right away." On the other end of the line, Yang Qiyun was quite happy, thinking there was something good going on. At the same time, Zhao Shouzai and Shen Yao naturally heard the call that had just transpired. The two exchanged glances, a slight trace of worry in their hearts. But since they had already started, they had to stick to their guns now and absolutely could not admit anything. As a result, Zhao Shouzai had no way to back out. Now he was already tied to the same rope. Of course, it was still the same point. There were no cameras in the private room. They would just adamantly deny everything. Before long, Yang Qiyun also cheerfully arrived at the private room. "Old Yan, why did not you tell me you were coming beforehand?" Listening to their conversation, it was clear they had been friends for many years. Yan Wenshan did not immediately get to the point. Instead, he first introduced Yang Qiyuan. "This is Xiaofeng, my good younger brother, and even more my good friend." "Hello, little brother Xiaofeng. My name is Yang Qiyuan. I am the chairman of this hotel. Old Yan and I are old friends." As soon as Yang Qiyuan and Xiaofeng had just finished their introductions, Yan Wenshan immediately interrupted. "No, old Yang. I do not have an old friend like you." "Huh. Old Yan? What do you mean by that?" "What do I mean? Xiaofeng and I came to your place for a meal, which counts as giving you business, right? But then, your server broke the wine. And now she is turning around and blaming us. You know my personality. If you do not handle this properly, our friendship is over." Yan Wenshan recounted the entire sequence of events. After listening, Yang Qiyuan immediately became furious. But Yang Qiyuan was the chairman of the hotel after all, so he naturally had to clarify everything. What exactly happened? Yang Qiyuan's voice was not loud, but he questioned Zhao Shouzai and Shen Yao with a strong sense of pressure. "You two explain clearly, dare to tell a single lie, and do not blame me for being impolite." Facing the chairman's intimidating presence, Zhao Shouzai nervously and quickly explained. "Chairman, this wine was indeed broken by them, and then they wanted to falsely accuse our server, Shen Yao. I just came to ensure fairness." Shen Yao immediately echoed. "Yes, I was just minding my own business and got blamed. Chairman, you must do justice for me." After hearing their replies, Yang Qiyuan suppressed his anger, a trace of ruthlessness flashing in his eyes. But Yang Qiyuan still controlled his emotions first. "I'm going to ask you one last time. Seriously, do not say I did not give you a chance. What exactly happened? Tell the truth." The chairman's oppressive aura seemed to carry a threat. Seeing this scene, Zhao Shouzai was already on the verge of cracking. He wanted to tell the truth, but it seemed there was no opportunity at all. Mainly, he had already said what he said earlier. If he changed his statement now, it would be an admission that he was lying before. He could only steel himself and continue to weave his lies. "Chairman, the truth of the matter is, just as I said, I am not talking nonsense." "That is right, Chairman. I am truly being wronged." Shen Yao continued to echo. Slap. The next second, Yang Qiyuan delivered a loud slap across Zhao Shouzai's face. That slap made him see stars. "I have already given you a chance. Since you did not cherish it, do not blame me for being ruthless. Do you two know who he is? He is Yan Wenshan, the chairman of Risheng Group. with a net worth of 1 billion yuan. And the young brother Xiaofeng next to him is undoubtedly also young and promising. These two people can easily spend over 300,000 yuan on a casual meal. Do you think they would play dirty over a bottle of wine worth 100,000 yuan? I might not know much about brother Xiaofeng, but how much old Yan values his reputation, do I not know, to ruin his reputation for 100,000 yuan? Do you two know that what you have done has made me lose so much face? Others will laugh at my inability to employ people and at my hotel's management. In short, I have already given you two a chance. Since you did not cherish it, I can only send you two inside so you can sober up properly in there. As Chairman Yang Qiyon's words fell, this time the sky truly collapsed. Not only Shen Yao, but Zhao Shouzai also broke down. Yang Qiyon was not joking. This act of damaging property and falsely accusing others, with the amount exceeding 100,000 yuan, constituted a crime. But such matters can be treated as major or minor. It could also be settled privately. But Yang Qiyon had indeed given them a chance earlier, and now he intended to send them in, which was certainly enough for a conviction. At this moment, the two had no other option but to beg for mercy, but they adamantly refused to admit anything. Because if they truly admitted it, there would be no turning back, and it would become irrefutable evidence. But as long as they stubbornly refused to admit it, there was still a glimmer of hope. Chairman, please, no, we truly did not lie to you. Chairman, do not do this. We are your employees after all. Why are not you on our side? Xiaofeng watched silently at this moment, looking at his ex-wife Shen Yao's pleading appearance. There was not a trace of pity in his heart. Instead, he felt immense satisfaction. If this matter could truly establish false accusation, then Shen Yao would get at least 6 months to start, and she would definitely have to go in and stay, leaving a criminal record. Before long, the police also arrived swiftly. After understanding the situation, they found themselves in a difficult position. Chairman Yang, we understand the situation, but they just won't admit it. It is very difficult for us to determine that it is truly a false accusation. Even if we could be 100% certain, as long as there is no evidence and no chain of evidence can be formed, it is still. The police followed protocol, conducted an analysis and explanation, and stated the current situation. No cameras, no conclusive evidence. As long as the other party adamantly refused to admit it, this matter would be difficult to handle. Everything required evidence. And at this moment, both Shen Yao and Zhao Shouzai felt a wave of relief in their hearts. Although they lost their jobs, at least they would not have to go inside, and they would not have to pay for the wine either. In any case, they could just get out of it. It was a good thing there was no evidence otherwise. They would have to pay for the wine as usual, and they would still have to go in. Thankfully. Indeed, they had gambled correctly. Officer, I have a recording. Just then, Xiaofeng silently pulled out his phone from his pocket. He had anticipated this step long ago. Shen Yao was his ex-wife. After all, Xiaofeng knew her to some extent. After Shen Yao broke the red wine and ran out, Xiaofeng quietly turned on the recording. When Shen Yao and Zhao Shouzai first came in, Shen Yao had clearly said that she accidentally broke the red wine and kept apologizing, playing the victim in various ways. But only after Xiaofeng indicated he was not considering paying for it did she immediately change her story. This recording instantly made everything undeniable. Xiaofeng did not care if Zhao Shouzai went in or not, but he was determined to send Shen Yao in. When Xiaofeng took out the recording, the moment it was played, everything, all of it, needed no further words. Faced with the irrefutable recording, coupled with their existing flaws, the two were speechless, and their psychological defenses completely crumbled. Once again, the situation shifted dramatically. They began to plead again. After all, with the evidence now conclusive, they could only beg for mercy, hoping for a glimmer of a chance. As the parties involved, Xiaofeng and Yan Wenchen could sign a letter of understanding, which would at least significantly reduce the punishment. But no matter how they pleaded, Xiaofeng remained unmoved. And he once again uttered the words Shen Yao had once taught him. What does that have to do with me? Just like that, as Shen Yao was being led away, she glared fiercely at Xiaofeng. Xiaofeng, I have no grievances or grudges against you. Why are you doing this to me? Just you wait. I won't make your life easy. Shen Yao was finally taken away mercilessly, and awaiting her was naturally the judgment of the law. At least 6 months to start. But all of this was her own fault. If she had not made false accusations, she would not have ended up in such a predicament. In the end, Shen Yao even left a harsh warning for Xiaofeng. However, in Xiaofeng's eyes, this harsh warning was simply a joke, and it might even harm her. If Shen Yao really wanted to seek revenge on Xiaofeng after she got out, she would definitely be digging her own grave. After Shen Yao was taken away, Yang Qiuyun, the chairman of Lingyun Hotel, also had a face full of apologies. Old Yan, young brother Xiaofeng, I am truly sorry today for making you too unhappy. This table is on the house today. In addition to express my apologies, I will punish myself with 3 drinks. Yang Qiuyun showed his sincerity and gave them enough face. After all, if this table were normally comped, it would only be for a few thousand yuan worth of dishes, while drinks like alcohol are almost never comped. These 3 bottles of wine were worth over 300,000. Yet Yang Qiuyun said everything was free and even drank 3 penalty cups of wine consecutively. Yan Wenshen's lips curled upwards again at this moment, his mood improving once more. All right, old Yang. This is not your fault. You do not need to drink anymore. No, old Yan. I have already finished all 3 drinks, and you are saying I do not need to drink anymore. Stop talking nonsense. Yan Wenshen's joking tone became a little more serious. Let me reintroduce you, my good brother. Xiaofeng, definitely young and promising. Do not look at him being only 22 this year, but he is already the hidden boss behind several companies, and he holds shares in many companies, including my Rising Sun Group. His total net worth is probably around 1 billion. It is not that little. When Yang Qiuyun, who was nearby, heard that Xiaofeng had 1 billion, even though he had seen many significant events in his life, his face immediately showed a hint of surprise and disbelief. A 22-year-old with a net worth of 1 billion. His future is absolutely immeasurable. I have worked hard my entire life, and now I am about to retire, yet my net worth is only 300 million. He is only 22 and has 1 billion, and he started from scratch. This friend is worth making. He might be useful someday. Indeed, every generation produces its talents. To achieve such things at a young age, come, brother Xiaofeng, I will toast you again. Xiaofeng also raised his glass for a toast, officially getting acquainted with Yang Qiuyun. Having more friends opens more doors. Hello, Chairman Yang. It is a pleasure to meet you. Oh, why call me Chairman Yang? Just call me Old Yang. If you ever need my help with anything in the future, just give me a call directly. Especially here at Lingyun Hotel. Next time you come for a meal, you can tell me in advance. And my Lingyun Hotel has a wide range of services. For weddings, class, reunions, whatever, I will definitely arrange everything perfectly for you. Alrighty. Speaking of class reunions, Xiaofeng suddenly remembered that in his previous life, his class group had organized a reunion and they had eaten here, but Xiaofeng had not come. Mainly, at that time, Xiaofeng's mind was completely occupied with raising medical funds for Leginian. How could he possibly be in the mood to attend any trivial class reunion? He only knew that those classmates had indeed eaten here, and the meal cost 2,000 to 3,000 yuan. But actually, it was not expensive. For a dinner with over 10 people, spending 2,000 to 3,000 yuan meant each person only paid around 200 yuan. Xiaofeng did not go at that time, partly because of Leginian, and partly because as soon as he heard 5-star hotel, he immediately thought it was too expensive and did not even consider it. Later, Xiaofeng only found out from others that at that class reunion, several classmates had made jokes about Xiaofeng's girlfriend's serious illness and even told stories about Xiaofeng borrowing money everywhere as a joke. The most ridiculous thing was that each of these classmates boasted about how well they were doing and how amazing they were. But he heard that when the reunion ended, they got into an argument over splitting the bill. Each of them claimed their company's capital chain had problems recently. He did not know what huge businesses they were running or what big companies they had opened to have a capital chain problem over 200 yuan. In short, for a class reunion of over 10 people, where each person paid 200 yuan, to argue over splitting the bill was indeed quite dramatic. But Xiao Feng in his previous life had no mind to bother with any of this. "Come, brother, Xiao Feng, I will toast you again," Yang Qiuan said, taking another drink. "Old brother Yang, you should drink a little less. You have had enough today." Xiao Feng also kindly reminded him. After all, he looked a few years older than Yan Wenshan. "Oh, young brother Xiao Feng, do not worry. My body is very strong. A few more drinks are no problem." "Imph, very strong," he says. Yan Wenshan, who was beside him, spoke in a strange tone, as if teasing and gossiping. "How come I heard someone is going to sell his hotel and prepare for retirement?" Their circle was not large to begin with. Anything that happened would spread almost instantly. Upon hearing Yan Wenshan's question, a trace of helplessness immediately flashed across Yang Qiuan's face. After a flicker of helplessness, he immediately drank another glass. "Sigh, do not even mention it. It is not that I want to retire, but my prodigal son looks down on my hotel business and insists on starting his own venture, researching his new energy stuff. Something called power batteries, I think. You would not believe how much money this thing burns. Since he started his venture, he has burned tens of millions, and he has not even seen a shred of results yet. To be honest, although I have many businesses, my biggest one is this hotel, and even though I am the chairman, I only hold a 55% stake. Furthermore, although this is a 5-star hotel, its scale is not particularly large. I have calculated that my 55% stake is probably only worth about 170 million. Now this prodigal son of mine is constantly asking me for money, saying that investing in a startup requires a lot of cash. Where do I get so much cash flow? I am considering selling this hotel. Mainly, I only have this one son, and the money is originally all his. If it really comes down to it, I truly plan to sell it and let him squander it." Yang Qiuan also used the alcohol to vent his grievances. He expressed that he was indeed considering selling the hotel more accurately. Not selling the hotel itself, but selling his 55% stake. This was something Yang Qiuan had built with his own hands. If he really sold it, it would surely break his heart. But for his son, he was indeed considering it. After all, Yang Qiuan did not have the assets that Yan Wenshan did. His total net worth was only around 200 to 300 million. The maximum cash flow he could squeeze out was only 30 to 50 million, and his son had already spent over 30 million. After listening to Yang Qiuan's words, Yan Wenshan also silently nodded. "So that is how it is. But if you really sell it, that is fine too. You're almost 60 this year. It is time to retire. Then are you buying?" Yang Qiuan casually asked in a joking tone. "My hotel earns tens of millions in profit every year. If it were not for a lack of funds, I truly would not consider selling. If you want to buy, I can give you a discount." "I am not buying it." Yan Wenshan did not even consider it for a second. "I am not interested in hotels. Imph, even if you wanted to buy, I would not necessarily sell yet. I still have 10 to 20 million in hand, so I can hold on for a while longer. I will only sell when I really can't hold on anymore," Yang Qiuan said casually. Meanwhile, Xiao Feng, who was nearby, was doing some calculations in his mind. He could indeed buy it. 170 million for a 55% stake in a hotel that profits tens of millions annually. This was definitely not a loss, because this 170 million would include the hotel's land, making it a permanent asset. But from the conversation, Xiao Feng also understood the implied meaning behind Yang Qiuan's words. He genuinely did not want to sell unless he truly ran out of money after a while. So Xiao Feng naturally did not speak up again. However, Xiao Feng was very interested in the sector his son was investing in for his startup. "Old brother Yang, I just heard you say that your son is working on new energy power batteries." "Oh, I do not really understand it either. Anyway, it is something called power batteries. You young people should be interested in this. I will introduce you to someday." "Okay." Xiao Feng also nodded. "I will definitely meet him if there is an opportunity." Yang Qiuan was also paving the way for his son. Such people have very clear minds. If his son could befriend someone like Xiao Feng, who has a net worth of 1 billion at 22, Yang Qiuan thought it might truly help him someday in the future. Just like that, Xiao Feng and Yang Qiuan officially got acquainted and exchanged phone numbers. And Xiao Feng was truly happy today, so he drank a few more glasses, mainly because Shen Yao was locked up. This was indeed a very happy event. They drank until 11 of the clock before dispersing. When Xiao Feng finally left, he still found an opportunity and ended up paying the entire 330,000 bill. They had consumed 3 bottles of wine, plus over 3,000 yuan worth of dishes. Xiao Feng paid the bill because he was genuinely happy, and also because he had just made a new friend. The other party had already offered to comp the meal, and having such an attitude was enough. Of course, Xiao Feng did not pay for the bottle Shen Yao smashed midway that was naturally left for Shen Yao. It was not until after Xiao Feng left that Yang Qiyuan learned he had secretly paid the bill. He could not help but feel a few more points of respect and admiration for Xiao Feng, muttering to himself. Truly young and promising as expected. Next time, I must find an opportunity to introduce Ning to him. Read female-oriented novels and get cash-read packets every day. In the following days, Xiao Feng was almost never idle, interviewing job applicants every day. Some of these people were introduced, for example, recommendations from the overseas trio. Others came proactively after seeing recruitment advertisements, and Han Shuiqi, whom he contacted on KS. In any case, almost everyone who came to apply was a top student or had a special skill. Xiao Feng would also recruit the elites he needed based on his own requirements. Some could be used immediately, and although some were not currently needed, Xiao Feng would still keep them because they would definitely be useful in the future. As long as they passed the interview, the minimum salary Xiao Feng offered was a base salary starting from 15,000. This was already a very high salary at the time. Even though most were highly educated or industry elites, in most cases, they would earn only 8 or 9,000 yuan a month elsewhere, with 10,000 being a minority. Xiao Feng was effectively offering 1.5 times the salary. Of course, there were even higher offers. Today, Xiao Feng even hired a talent whose starting base salary was 50,000 upon joining. The reason for directly offering 50,000, the woman's name was Yi Signing. She was not tall and was on the slender side, but she exuded a neat and shrewd aura. Dressed in professional attire, wearing a light-colored shirt and a small suit jacket. With even her cuffs tightly buttoned, she gave off an impression of meticulousness. She spoke slowly, with a steady tone, yet her words were straightforward and her logic clear. Hello, Mr. Xiao. My name is Yi Signing. I am 32 years old, with 7 years of work experience and 3 years of prison study experience. I have been in this industry for a total of 10 years and graduated from Langqiao. I only have one requirement. My monthly salary cannot be lower than 30,000. Fang Zhang, who was right behind Xiao Feng, was completely bewildered after hearing this introduction. Fang Zhang simply did not understand what this Yi Signing was talking about. No, young lady. No, wait. This grown lady, I do not dispute your 7 years of work experience, but what the hell is 3 years of prison experience? How do you count those 3 years towards your 10 years in the industry? Also, even though my education is not high, I have heard of Cambridge. What kind of university is your Lanchao? Is it famous? You're asking for a base salary of 30,000 right off the bat. Congratulations, you are hired. Xiao Feng's tone was calm and firm. In an instant, Fang Zhang was utterly dumbfounded, his face full of question marks. From Yi Signing's interview to her being hired, less than 1 minute had passed in total. She was hired directly. And the other party requested a monthly salary no less than 30,000 yuan, meaning it could only be more, not less. Xiao Feng actually agreed instantly. How could Fang Zhang not be bewildered? Could it be that this was Xiao Feng's secret lover outside? Is that why? No, that is not right. The other party was 10 years older than Xiao Feng. Mr. Xiao. Mr. Xiao. Fang Zhang quickly whispered a reminder. This woman has a criminal record, and she is asking for a 30,000 monthly salary right away. Is that reasonable? Xiao Feng was not a person who acted impulsively. After Yi Signing finished speaking, Xiao Feng had already seen her true information through the entries. And the information was true. She was absolutely a talent among talents in accounting. Definitely worth that salary. Xiao Feng's company was growing bigger and bigger, with more and more accounts, which Momo and Han Shuiqi alone would find difficult to handle. Especially further down the line, The company's various accounts would be impossible for the two of them to sort out. But Yi signing in front of him was different. She was a top-tier accountant, especially those 3 years of study experience. Seemingly imprisoned for 3 years. She actually just studied for 3 years, because Langqiao Prison gathered all the top accountants in the country. It was also known as the accounting prison. Just as she said, she graduated from Langqiao. With such a talent in charge of the finance department, Xiaofeng could naturally feel more at ease. Moreover, the entries would not only display this person's abilities, but also their character. As a result, after reading the entries, Xiaofeng immediately agreed. And furthermore, upon joining, your monthly base salary will be 50,000 yuan. The probation period is half a month. After the probation period, you will serve as the head of the finance department. Oh, and the 50,000 yuan base salary is only temporary. It will increase later. Work hard. I have high hopes for you. Xiaofeng was also straightforward. When Yi Signing heard that the base salary was 50,000, a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. But more than that, it was delight she had chosen the right place and come to the right place. Unlike other companies she had been to before, which had even scoffed at her 3 years of prison experience. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. I will work hard and not disappoint you. Welcome to Polaris. The two then shook hands. After the two left, only a bewildered Fang Zhang remained. He still did not understand what graduated from Langqiao meant, and he kept muttering to himself. What is the deal with this Langqiao University? Is it that easy to find a job after graduating? I will have to send my daughter there too in the future, no matter how much it costs. Just like that, for several consecutive days, Xiaofeng widely recruited talents. Polaris now had over 50 direct employees. Everyone had different responsibilities. Some were in charge of liaising with the Mizhou team, some with Shansong Dohome, others with the hometown investment sector, and also Bitcoin. In short, each team had its responsible area, and such high-paying jobs naturally did not keep idlers. Today was September 30th. It had been a long time since Xiaofeng last visited the K's company. The current K's company was also growing day by day, on the verge of soaring. Previously, all departments in the entire company combined had less than 100 people now. The company had expanded to 200 people. Mainly, once short video was launched, it genuinely exploded in popularity, establishing its dominance in the domestic market in just a month. When Gao Yuanming saw Xiaofeng arrive, he immediately began introducing things to Xiaofeng again. However, this introduction did not feel like an introduction. It was more like showing off his achievements. Come, Mr. Xiao, let me show you our back-end data. Look, since its official launch on September 1st until today, the 30th, in just 1 month, our KS Short Videos total users have already exceeded 10 million. Especially recently, with 300,000 to 500,000 new users added daily, and daily active users exceeding 1 million. Our current K's short video app in terms of market valuation alone is worth at least 200 to 300 million. Compared to before, the company's market value has increased tenfold in just 1 month, and this is just the beginning. Based on the current situation, I estimate that we will have at least 100 million users in the future. If we can reach 100 million users registered on our app, then our company's market value will reach several billion, or even tens of billions. And the 10 million you invested before will turn into 1 billion to 3 billion. How about that, Mr. Xiao? I have done a pretty good job, have not I? Huh? After Gao Yuanming finished speaking, he always felt that something was odd about his words. It felt like he was reporting his work to Xiaofeng. Had I unknowingly become Xiaofeng's employee? You have done well.